And I'm calling this meeting to order. And at this time, would like to ask Joseph Ramirez to come forward for the invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance to both the United States and Texas flags.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. We bow our heads. Heavenly Father, during this Lenten season, we come to you and thankful for the sacrifices that you made for us so that we may be here today. We pray for wisdom for this Commissioner's Court. We pray for peace. We pray for prosperity for not only our county, but our entire region. We ask that you continue to be the foundation that we set here in this county for the entire state of Texas. In your name we pray, amen. To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee,
Texas,
one state, under God,
one and indivisible.
Amen.
At this time, Madam Clerk, we do have a quorum as all are present, and the time officially is 9:08. It is March 27th, and we're on the third floor of the courthouse. And one thing that's nice, I don't know if you heard when I gavelled in, it sounded very strong and official. And Commissioners, that's because we have a new gavel, and it reads, presented to Nueces County Commissioners Court by Senator Eddie Lucio Jr. This week in Austin, I had the opportunity to visit with Senator Lucio, a long-standing friend and a great public servant of Texas. Anyway, I think this is a beautiful gift. It does not belong to me. It's for the entire Commissioners Court, and it's inscribed to all of us from Senator Lucio, and publicly I'd like to thank him for allowing us to gavel me in here. Okay, at this time, I would like to approve the minutes and would accept a motion.
So moved.
A second, please.
Second.
Okay, having heard a motion, a second, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign.
There's no agenda minutes. Did I have the wrong one?
No, I don't have any either. No, there's no minutes.
Okay, it just says approve the following minutes.
Just a heading.
Okay, but we do not have the minutes from last meeting? Okay, so we retract that vote, but let's get the minutes for the next meeting.
Yes, Judge.
Normally we do have, don't we?
Well, it's sometimes.
Okay. And sometimes we do two at once, but, okay, at this time, we have a discussion of applications from interested brokers to be considered as a sole broker to obtain proposals for coverages of insurance in all areas of risk, including but not limited to property and casualty, as further defined by Section 262.036 of the Texas Local Government Code.
We have to recess and go into workshop? Yes. I mean,
We can at this time? Okay. Okay. So at this time, do I have to make a motion for recess, Alauda? So I'd like to hear a motion, please. And I've got a motion and a second. This time, we will take a short recess and come back.
and then just go into the workshop.
Right, now we're into workshop. So, Mr. Tyner, are you going to start this off?
The workshop, ma'am?
Yes.
What we've done in association with the purchasing department and with Timothy, our risk manager, it's the time that we typically start to consider insurance. We're talking about property and casualty primarily, and it expires at the end of May. The approach that we envision this time, which is a little bit different than what we've done in the past, 262.036 of the Local Government Code authorizes the county to seek a sole broker to obtain proposals and coverages. And once again, we're primarily looking at looking at property and casualty. Last week, we got a notice out to consider hiring a broker that would not be entitled to commissions, but would be paid a negotiated rate, not entitled to commissions. And Timothy contacted pretty much everybody that he could find in the community and even in San Antonio. And I'd like to ask Timothy to come forward. The county attorney helped us draft a notice of what we were looking for. And Timothy hit the street, sent it out to everybody that he could find. And I'll let Timothy describe that process. But what he's going to show the court is we did receive 2 brokers for the court to consider if the court chooses to go this route.
Good morning. Good morning, Judge.
Good morning.
Commissioners. I was tasked by the county judge to go out and look for an independent broker for Nueces County for our property and casualty insurance. Having done so, I worked all the way from Houston, Austin, San Antonio back. The parameters were, 1, try to stay local. 2, they could not bid on the process at the time. So I found one in Nueces County in Corpus Christi, which was Miss Jacqueline Kingsbury. Talked with the judge, had another meeting, went back, approached Carlisle, who was here as well, Carlisle, Borden, Higginbotham, to come in to bid on this proposal. And we've got 2 for you today for consideration. It's the Carlisle and Miss Kingsbury here. So I managed to get those 2 for you this morning for this workshop.
Thank you. Thank you, Timothy. To set the table for us, to set the table here for us, commissioners, I'd like to take you back, although it may be an unpleasant memory, take you back a year when you as a commissioners court went through the process of selecting insurance. And I actually had the opportunity, along with our county attorney, our risk manager, Tyner, from the court administrator's office, and Michael Robinson from purchasing, to sit and rewatch the hearing, not the hearing, but rewatch the court for the time period that was all of you as commissioners asking very poignant questions as to why certain markets were not able to be accessed by all of the brokers at the time. Indeed, the process seemed to be flawed and, quite frankly, not in the best interest of the county as it was presented. I was determined to not make those same mistakes, but there was some timing issues with regards to our renewal. The government code, which I happen to have in front of me, allows for, and county attorney can speak to, this process that is not often used, but is allowed, and that is 262.036, and it's called Selection and Retention of Insurance Broker. I will not belabor the point, as all of you, I think, have received information from the county attorney, but to be specific, the county may retain a broker of record selected under this section only on a fee basis. So I want to reiterate what Timothy has just given to you, and that is this is a selection process on a fee basis only. However, there is still a competitive bidding process that will occur for the selection of your insurance. That is, the broker that we select will then assist us as a consultant would in procuring through competitive bids the markets. The difference is that it won't be the type of agencies that you're used to seeing, because those agencies receive a commission for those for that process. This is a process that I think ensures us what you all and what I heard all of you say, which is you want to make sure all markets are accessed. That was a huge problem last time with only certain companies having certain assigned markets. This allows us to go out for all markets. You might have questions with regards to the fee, and I'm going to direct that to Lauda, but it is my understanding, based on her briefing, that that is a negotiated fee between the county and the person that we select as the sole broker. Again, this may not be my preferential way to do it, but in the interest of time and the interest of absolutely making sure that we get the best possible quote for insurance, I think this is the right and preferred method that's being used. To remind you, there are three methods. All three of them were included on today's agenda for discussion. That is a typical RFP, where it's commission-based, a typical RFQ, where you request for qualifications, choose essentially an agent, and allow them to go out and bring you bids. And this is the third one, and this is a procurement. You were also given an advisory by the county attorney regarding an AG's opinion that basically states forth what I think I just stated. But Lauda, I'll defer now to you.
Yes. What you have here before you is what we consider legally a professional service. The broker is a licensed insurance agent / broker, and for that reason, you really don't have to bid it out. It is an exemption to the Purchasing Act, and at the time of the selection, you will say, there will be an order verbally of that person being a professional. What we did, it was kind of like a hybrid, even though it's an exemption. We did provide notice and basically requested that they submit, anybody that was interested, submit an application in the form of a vitae, which basically will spell out their experience and their qualifications for you to review and compare to which one you'd like to go. Pursuant to the statute, they're not allowed to get any commissions. It's strictly a fee, and that fee will be negotiated. Once you take action, once the agenda is before you and you make this selection, and you also make an oral order of it being a professional service, then at that point, you can negotiate a fee. I have provided to you our standard contract with regards to professional services, and the only thing that is, we have a scope of work. You were able to see what we're asking that person to do, and all we're going to need at that point is what the fee is going to be and whether or not, what the term is going to be. And like the judge said, basically after that, yes, the actual insurance itself will have to be bid out. But this broker, in the looking at the scope of work, will assist us in getting what is out there and what is in the best interest of the county as far as coverages are concerned. They will also provide some advice with regards to whether we're underinsured or overinsured. And so, this particular method is very, very good for you in the perspective of going forward.
Lauda, we probably should give some guidance to is it appropriate at this time, since both these brokers are here, to allow them the opportunity to come up and present their vitae? And possibly, would it be all right if I ask questions? Let me just, in fairness, throw out 3 or 4 questions, and that way it's the same questions to both, and then other commissioners can ask, but it would give us a good lead-in.
Judge, before I do that,
Sure.
can I ask, I'm a little confused, and this is my favorite subject to be confused on, so let me start. I've just got some questions on making sure I understand what we're doing today before they get up here, because I do certainly want to hear from them. So if we, and I don't know if you're to answer or Tim or whoever, but if we do this, I think what you said is that these people then would be a consultant type, like Mr. Duran is, where we pay him to do our health insurance, but then he doesn't get commissions. These people would act, whoever would act in the same capacity, which would then eliminate those other companies, because you're saying it would be a different kind of bidder. It wouldn't be Borden and all those other ones who've always done it. It would be like this person or persons or whoever gets this would go out and get us the best deal directly to the carriers, for lack of a better way of saying that, to the Lloyd's of London's.
Underwriters.
The underwriters, thank you. I should have known that term. That's a term I'm familiar with. Is that kind of, am I understanding this right?
They also, that person will also assist the purchasing department to actually get the specifications to bid it out, to bid out the actual insurance. Like, that's normal. The role here, like I said, is kind of like a consultant as well as getting, instead of, that person is going to have access to all markets. In the past.
To all markets?
All markets.
Okay. So that person would then, again, just make sure we're clear, it would eliminate the Higginbothams and the Bordens because they chose not to come in.
The assignment of the brokers, remember, in the
Right,
past?
right.
That eliminates that.
And, I thought that was a very unfair process, and I was one of the ones who spent a lot of time questioning on that, so I get that. So this persons, again, whoever gets it would then be paid monthly, or whatever we do, and they would go directly to the underwriters, the Lloyds, all these markets, and eliminate, I know I've said this twice, but I'm making sure, eliminate the Bordens, the Higginbothams, the ones that have worked with the county for years, because they have chosen not to come forward today and put in a bid by their own choice, because you've gone to them, right? And they've chosen not to participate, and they know that if we go this way, we haven't decided, but if we go this way, that they're out. Is that,
Except for the time period, except for that there is a time period between now and the time the insurance lapses, thank you, that they are still our agent.
Right.
And I'm sure a sole broker would recognize that. But of course, we would, one of the things I'd like to, this would be more of a negotiation, but I believe that having it effective immediately would behoove us. In other words, this broker that we would choose would be effective immediately. So for a short time span, they would absolutely work with our designated agent until that time lapses.
no, I get it, but I
Yeah.
just want to make sure
But
these
yes.
other groups have been contacted, according to Tim, and they've worked with this county forever, and we want to make sure that nobody's, because we all are interested in local, and I'm glad you have two local folks here, and so that's great. But I mean, they were given the opportunity to put something forward, and they chose not to. And again, this court hasn't decided which to do. But if we do go this route, then those people are all out because
Yes.
they no longer
Or-
control the markets.
That is correct.
Okay.
Now, when we go back out, I'm not going to get into all that, but for all intents and purposes, while we're here right now, everyone has been contacted. They had an opportunity to participate. I received phone calls back. I received declines. I've received no answer. So, yes, sir, I contacted close to 21 different agencies.
And the ones that you contacted that we currently do business with,
Right.
did you make contact with them? And I can't remember who's got what right now,
I actually even talked to Wally from Borden.
and he just doesn't have anything.
And also Michael Swatner, I spoke with, they were in the same room together, teleconference, and they're not here, so.
Okay. I just want to be clear, because, I mean, we've worked with these people for years and years, and nobody wants to,
I understand,
No,
I understand your concern.
and I'm okay, as long as, I just want to reiterate and put on the record that
Yes, sir.
these folks were given opportunities, and we haven't decided which way we're going, but if that's the way the court's going,
That is correct.
then as long as everyone was given a fair shot to put something forward and they didn't, then I'm good.
Yes, sir.
I have a question.
Okay,
Before
thank
sit
you.
down. I'm a little concerned about that too, because I'm surprised that the current one we have, which I think is Higginbotham, that
Actually, it's Borden.
it's Borden. Okay, can you tell me, is there a certain reason that they wouldn't want to do it this way?
Well, I was, from what they told me, their concern was, now, since that agency that we're gonna hire as our consultant, they were concerned that, that's why we want to go independent. They were concerned that whoever collects our bids, let's say if we go with Carlisle today, their concern was that Carlisle would go to the markets and see what was available and be able to undercut any bid that they had. And that was their concern. And so I did raise that in our meetings as well. And that's all boils down to interpretation of how, I'll leave that to the legal matters, but that was their concern of why they didn't want to participate, because their fear was somebody underbidding them.
Wow.
If they're not in the process, though, then there's no way to underbid them if they're not even in.
That's correct.
That was their concern, just letting you know.
All right, okay.
Whether it was, that was their reply, Commissioner.
Okay.
They also have the same opportunity the other ones have.
I understand,
Right.
Commissioner.
Okay, I just want to make.
The
In many-
The person that's going to be the sole broker, I mean, under the statute, they cannot accept any commissions from the insurance companies, nothing. The bottom line is, this service will be for a fee. That's it. And so It
I mean,
could
they'll
be a-
still get paid, it just won't
Right.
be from them.
Well, and it's the same thing we're doing with Duran. I mean, we brought this up the last time, so thank you, Judge, for putting this on as a workshop and allowing us to do this, because, this was something the court had interest in last time, in some capacity, or in looking at different ways, and so I think it's a positive item to discuss and to see if this was the way we want to go, because it would seem that if you're not paying a commission, but you're paying someone, and I'm not against commissions, that's not the case, but our job is to do what's best for the county and to save the taxpayers as much money as we can, and if this is something that could possibly save the taxpayers money, because instead of paying, and I don't know what these guys make on commissions, or girls.
I do.
Okay, and I get it, right, so it's pretty significant, was the rest of that sentence, so I would think we would be able to make a deal with one of these two that would say, okay, we're going to pay you X, and it's going to be less than what you make as a commission, but you're going to have steady income, and I don't know. So I appreciate it's on the agenda, and I'm ready to discuss
Just
more.
want to make sure it's fair.
No, that was my deal too, and I think I'm satisfied, because if Tim's not telling us the truth, we're going to hear about it from all those, I know you're.
No,
we're going to
I
hear
think-
about it from those other insurance companies, too, and I just want to make sure that they
I
get
think
a fair
Timothy
shot.
went above and beyond. I would not have even directed him to go outside Corpus Christi, but he did, and I think that it really indicates that the people that are here are the type of people that are committed to your community, and I applaud them for that, because it wasn't about the commission. It was about bringing all markets to get the best interest, set forth for the county.
What was best for Nueces County in general.
I appreciate that. No, and I'm being funny on that. I know you wouldn't not tell the truth. I'm just saying, I know we'll hear about it if
I
anything
totally
has
agree.
been misrepresented. And that's why I like to put it on the record,
Yes,
so
sir.
everybody
I
can
knew-
read, look at it.
It's
Right.
a small town, people talk.
No, and it's recorded.
Exactly, so I knew, so.
Well,
You can
and-
watch
The
this.
extra
Don't
measure
believe
to
everything you
ensure
hear
that-
now.
Yeah, right.
Well, and honestly, and it is, when we only received the one, and it was not to not reward the one, it was in an effort to be complete and to be open. We directed Timothy to call Carlisle, to call Higginbotham, to call Borden, the three entities that came forth last year with bids. So I think we've been beyond open, transparent, and complete.
I still don't quite understand what you're saying on the underbidding, but okay, whatever. If they're not here, that's the bottom
Yes,
line.
There was some, real quick, there was some misunderstanding of the interpretation. I'm not going to go down that road. However, the general direction was the independent bidder, the original direction was the independent broker could not bid on the insurance. They had to be independent. So that's what the original premise was. Well, to be fair, call everybody in Corpus to let everybody know to show up here and go for it and try to be our independent broker, come before the court, send their CV. So we only had two.
And I'm sure Ms. Kingsbury and the Carlisles can explain.
Exactly.
Yeah, I
more,
think
so
we'll give them a
I'll let them do that too. All right.
We'll give them a
I'm
chance.
good. Thank
Okay,
you
so
very much.
let's get going then, in the interest of their time as well as ours. I want you to think about these types of beginnings, and of course, please feel free to add. Also, in the interest of time, I'll give you, of course, as much time as you need, but let's try to keep it to 5 minutes if you can. Talk about who you are give us your background. Talk about how many years you've been in the business, what types of entities you represent that are kind of similarly, I wouldn't say situated, but if you do represent counties, we'd like to hear about it. But if not, just kind of give us the general type of financial modeling of groups and entities that you do represent. And then also talk to us a little bit about the process of accessing all markets and your relationship and ability to do that, because that's of particular importance to the court. And in no particular order, I just see Ms. Kingsbury in front of me. If you'd be so kind, if you would start us off. You could just approach the podium and introduce yourself and introduce your company and a little bit about your background, and I'll leave it to the commissioners to ask questions after you've completed.
Thank you, first of all, for having me in.
Thank you.
Timothy. And I am coming in a bit cold
Okay,
because I haven't been a previous
right.
agent with the county. And so I have over 37 years, though, writing business insurance here locally and internationally now. Just I won't say I'm committed completely to only my businesses are in Corpus. Probably
Okay.
half of my businesses I insure are in Corpus, but our largest is out of Belgium. So it could be anywhere that we place coverage. I think the most challenging thing in Corpus Christi is the first-tier wind, and so I'm very familiar with that, obviously, from being born and raised here and doing business here for so many years. So that kind of covers overall. I do have a little bit of a question, just because I haven't worked with it before, and maybe Mr. Carl can even answer that for me, but when you look at a fee for placing it, the scope of that work, does that include just marketing? Because there are many buckets of risk management that we would be able to provide resources for. We work with a consortium of risk managers and attorneys and to provide, to provide coverages and a complete package, for our clients. So I guess a little bit of that is the scope of I think both of us, imagine I've known them for years as well. We can access the markets for you. That's fine. And so that's not a question. I think more with the fee, there was a little bit of blurriness I heard in that when you say this is an independent, I think you're looking for, if I can clarify, an independent agent to work as an agent broker on a fee basis.
That's correct.
Not a risk manager.
That's
you're going to
correct.
Pay a fee. Okay, so with that, again, I'm coming in, I don't think there's anything that we have a lot of questions on other than the scope of what that entails, because we are very broad sweeping in the services we provide.
Okay. I think the concern last year and for me this year was just, do you have access to all the markets? And I know that seems maybe like, of course I do, but I think it's important that this court knows that, because last year there was that great concern that certain agents were only assigned certain markets, and therefore they did not have access to all markets. So under this process, I kind of wanted you to reiterate that if you were selected as a broker, you could, would you be willing to start immediately on this work? And imagine, okay? And then the second thing is would you have access to all markets?
Yes, I think what was the issue last year and years prior is it's unusual or peculiar in our industry that, say, we go to Star or AIG with a submission, then no other agent can talk to that market. So that's what they call blocked.
Forgive me,
That's what
blocking the markets,
Right,
yes.
and so that's what you're concerned about, is if you do assign a sole broker on a fee basis, they will have access to all the markets without any blocking, and so.
Exactly.
Yes.
Just nice to hear a professional, with 37 years' experience, reiterate that for the court. So at this time, Commissioners, I'll yield to you. Do you have any specific questions?
I have one.
Yes, ma'am.
You say you have access to all the markets. My question is, will all the markets give you a quote, and do you have good standing with all the markets?
Oh, yes. Knock on wood, we've never had an E&O in 37 years.
So with all of them, you have good standing?
Yes, we are not in bad standing at all. We sit on the Houston Producer Council for AIG. We represent, a lot
Thank
of
you.
the very strong property carriers for the.
Thank you.
And just for the record, will you state the full name of your agency is King, if you don't mind, for the record?
Well, it's Kingsbury Insurance Agency, Inc., but we do business as Integrity Insurance Solutions.
That's what I wanted to make sure the record reflected.
Insurance Solutions.
Thank you.
Yes, both are correct.
And I guess
Commissioner.
my question would be that, and I'm going to ask the same question to them, is since we're, I guess in theory, depending on what we do here, we have to choose, why would we choose you over them? That's the same question I'm going to ask them, so.
Sure. And I think, first of all, that you're on a very wise track. With all of our clients, we don't bid insurance. We go in, we ask them to interview us, to interview the other agents, and pick one, and trust them, and press on them, and develop a working relationship so that you get to know them. And over the years, you know their needs. It takes a lot less time of yours. It takes a lot less time of the agent, so they can work more efficiently for you. Spend time more on processes to improve, software things that can improve the communications rather than going back and forth between agents and, so. Does that answer your question?
No, thank you.
So,
Commissioner Modis, do you have anything for Ms. Kingsbury?
No.
Commissioner Gonzalez? Okay, we thank you very much, first for responding to Timothy so promptly and for being here today. Oh, yes, sir.
Have you worked in a fee basis versus interest before?
yes,
Yeah? Very good.
so many times,
Thank you.
Well, many times on both.
Yes.
Commissions, the others.
Thank you.
Certainly, and thank you again for recognizing that we care about the county. When you announced that, I thought, well, thank you for.
I really do mean that. I mean, it matters, and I haven't seen you for years, but I know of you by reputation, and it means a lot when Timothy and our risk management team ask for assistance, that people answer that call. So I want to commend you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Carlisle, recognizing Tom and Chase Carlisle at this time. Oh, I'm sorry. Ms. Kingsbury, did you have something to say? Okay. Please come on up. Good morning, Tom.
Good morning. Can y'all hear me? I'm Tom Carlisle with Carlisle Insurance, and this is my son Chase. First of all, I'd like to say I've known Jackie forever. She's a great agent and a class act.
Yes.
And a very good reputation. I haven't seen her in a long time. We appreciate being here, and I think the main thing is we did respond because we care about the county, and last year, as everybody was aware, we're not going to talk about last year, we're going to talk about this year, is the fact that I guess we're here to say that we insure probably 65 public entities in their property business. We just recently got CCISD, which they chose us as a broker on qualifications. A big honor for us, and it happened to be the current broker that it was taken away from. So we also insure, which we have for probably 25 years, the Port of Corpus Christi, handling their property. We write the city of Corpus Christi's property. And the issue of what you're talking about on that I think it's the public local law or statute that does it, y'all fall under the same thing as the city of Corpus Christi. The city chose us on a fee. We think. We're not lawyers. But we asked the same thing of the city, and they chose us on a fee basis. And it's public knowledge, when they chose us, we saved the city $1 million the next year on their insurance. That's public information. In fact, Ms. Vaughn was on the city council at that time. So we do a lot of added services. I'm going to let my son talk about those real quick, because we do more than just market your business. We become part of your risk management team.
Sure. Good morning.
Good morning.
So part of our agency is we specialize. We have what we consider our public entity team. It's myself, my father Tom, and an individual Don Clark. And in that program, like he said, we have about 65 direct governmental clients. But like Ms. Kingsbury said, we can all access the markets. I don't think that's the issue. The issue here is, what are your relationships with the markets? How are you perceived in the marketplace? What's your experience on the public entity side? Because you are a little bit different of an animal than a hardware store or something of that nature. So this is the stuff we live and breathe every day. As far as part of the program, placing your insurance is part of it. It's a very important part of it. But it goes further than that, as she explained. So none of our governmental clients, including the schools, the city, the port, that were affected by Harvey, were in any situation to ever hire a PA, a public adjuster. We managed that process from the start with them to ensure that the process was smooth, that we explained how it would work, and part of that process is our assigned adjuster. The adjuster is the most important portion of that process on a catastrophic claim. And we assign one adjuster that we have a relationship with that handles all our clients in the area. So based on that relationship, I can call him right now on his cell phone, text him. He manages the process. He's a very good guy, and there was never any need to talk about having to hire a public adjuster on any of our clients. Aransas Pass ISD paid out a $22 million claim. Port Aransas, we had about a $14 million claim. The city and the port were significantly smaller because they were not directly impacted. We're talking about property insurance really today, but we also have access to some pools for workers' comp, casualty, that kind of stuff. I think everybody here has done a pretty good job of explaining the process. We'd be happy to answer any questions, but they are right on track. You would hire us or her as your designated broker to help the staff manage the RFP process, make sure all the markets are accessed, analyze the quotes, work with purchasing, sit down with them and risk management to dictate, what coverages we're buying, what deductibles, whether or not we're buying the right loss limits, all these kind of things. Y'all used to have Judge Neal here, who was an insurance background. He's gone now, so I think it's in y'all's best interest to do what you're doing, to hire somebody on your team to help you manage this process. Anything, Indiana?
Thank you. Do we have any questions?
I do.
Yes, ma'am.
Same question to you guys. I know you can access the markets, but do you, are all the markets available? Will they quote to you, and do you have good standing with them?
Yeah, so
We're going to tell you a story about this.
real quick, one of our clients that we recently picked up $1 billion in total insured values in our area won't state names, but you can probably guess who it is, was being non-renewed by their insurance carrier this year. We awarded the contract in February, and in 2 weeks, we were able to convince that carrier to renew their insurance. There was a little bit of a heartache there because of some claim issues, and due to our relationship, these relationships we have in the market, we were able to sit down with the CEO of that company and have them offer a renewal for that client. So,
And the reason I ask this to both of y'all is because we go through this every year with our company, and I'm going through that right now, and I'm learning, every year more and more, the relationships matter because some have better companies than the others do. So I just think it's real important that.
I'd briefly say that's probably one of the most important things because it's a people-to-people business. And I'm going to share something about our agency. When we market your account, or I market anybody's account directly, these other agencies, not necessarily I'm going to speak for Ms. Kingsbury, but such a Higginbottom, they have a marketing department. The person that's talking directly to you, that's your producer, doesn't talk to the underwriter. There's nobody that can sell an underwriter better than the guy that's on the line, that knows you, can tell them and put their word. So our process is totally different on that. In regards to the amount of clout we have with markets, we insure over $15 billion of coastal public entity property. We write more public entity property with catastrophe wind than any other agent along the coast. So I can assure you, we go to Atlanta, we go to different places. We work very hard on our relationships with those people.
Thank you.
Commissioners?
I guess what makes you more qualified than her, y'all are both great,
she's a lot cuter than me.
I'm not even,
I'll vote on that one.
I guess the way to answer that question would just be our experience in the public entity world. That's what I pretty much live and breathe every day. He does as well. I think we submitted a list of our clients. Hopefully y'all got that. And if you look down that list, we've had public entity clients since 1998. And we've grown that from 1 to, like you said, about 65 over the last 10, 15 years, and we continue to grow it.
thank you.
Commissioner Modis, anything?
No, Judge, just for you, so later on, we're going to move on this item.
That's correct. This is a workshop process only, everyone. And we thank you very, very much. And I hope that you will be available for further questions if needed. We can have Timothy contact you at that
Judge?
point. Yes,
You
ma'am.
explained the upside of doing it this way.
Yes.
Can you tell me, is there a downside?
Yes. Well, not that I can see. We all bring our own experiences. I'm not an insurance agent like Judge Neal was, but sitting on audit for 6 years, at the Port of Corpus Christi with a tremendous, actually triple the value that we have here to cover, gave me a great insight. And what I see, and there's nothing wrong with making money, and I applaud the opportunity for people to make commissions. It's a good thing. But for public entities, it's a better thing to work on a fee basis, in my mind, because the idea is you can still look for the best qualified person, and that person can help you access all markets, so you have the ability to see all quotes, regardless of who has a backdoor better deal with somebody on a commission basis. And I think the real interest here is the proofs in our pudding. We had $5.5 million in claims. We had 1.6 recovered. Over the last 12 years, we spent approximately $12 million in premiums. When we needed somebody to answer our call, they were not here for us. And so I believe that it was very important that we know now whether we are underinsured or whether we're overinsured. We need to understand whether or not, if we have to go to litigation, like we're thinking about now. To me, it matters the success of that litigation. If we're in New York law, with New York lawyers, with New York arbitrators, that is not a path for success. And I know that some of the underwriters are very strict with their requirements, but when you have a relationship with a broker, we can tell that broker, please make certain that you can compare apples to apples. So we need to know what that dollar amount is, if it's higher with one underwriter, but we'll have venue in Texas versus a little bit cheaper venue in New York State. I think that's why I want someone on our side. That's what a fee basis represents to me. Somebody on our side of the aisle to also work with risk management. There's one thing that of note is Timothy and I have discussed how important it is for us to have him work with this broker. I think his office will become stronger as a result, his experience, because he'll have sort of a 12th man, if you will, on his team to be able to assist him. Even if in the future we decide to go back to our normal RFP process, we will at least have 1 year where we're really learning how to write an RFP that doesn't get us to where we had blocked markets in an unfair process. So I think we're going to strengthen our own risk management department by doing it this way. Forgive me to both my agents. I think we're going to save a little money this way. That's not demeaning to you, but a fee basis typically does provide a little better, maybe not a lot, but a little better financial opportunity to be less than what a commission might bring in. But again, that's not to cut out the free market system. It's just to do what's in the best interest of our county. And again, I'm looking for all of us to be educated. When I saw that tape, that was not a tape that I would be proud of. That was last year's hearing. I mean, I keep saying hearing, so I'm thinking about court, forgive me. That would not have been something that I would be proud of. All of us, all 5 of us, need to be very educated on the insurance process. And the reason is because it affects us so much when, as we saw 570 plus days ago, we relied on that policy and it didn't do what we needed. And we are having to go through the public adjustment process as a result. So I think for all of those reasons, because we have failed, we have a failure present, and because I'd like to see if this would help in the consulting process strengthen our risk management, I think it's good. I think it's in the best interest of our county. But I'm not opposed to going back to a general RFP process at some point in the future. But what we've done has not yielded the best results. Now, you can differ, but I don't think the numbers lie. So,
Judge, I think you make a good point. We can always go back. You know, we
Yes.
do this on a year-to-year basis, and we've done it that way for many, many years. Hurricane Harvey was certainly an anomaly that put us all in a bad spot, and we, God forbid, hope it never happens again. But I'm open to moving forward in a different direction, and if it doesn't work, we can go back, and that's not going to cost the taxpayers any money. It's just going to be more time for us, but that's what we're here to do. So I appreciate you putting it on the agenda, and
thank you.
I'm ready to move forward with.
Okay, so we will have this as a regular agenda item. So if it's all right, I will call us out of workshop. Do we need a motion to come out of workshop as well? I'll take that.
I want to point out.
Of course.
On the agreement that I sent you, the attachment B does have the scope of work, so that you'll know what we're asking.
That's a good point. If you'll refer to that, what you would be obtaining from a sole broker.
Judge, and before you go out of workshop,
Yes.
it might be good, since they're all here, to move this agenda item up so we can deal with it and no one has to sit here for the rest of the day, because we got a long agenda. But that's,
I'm
just
pleased to do that. I will tell you, just so that, okay, that's number 4.
That would be regular agenda
Right.
A1.
And
It's just, just a thought. You don't have to, but.
I mean, I'm happy to do so, to move out of order, Madam Clerk, with 4A1, Tyner.
Come out of the workshop.
And so let's come out of the workshop first.
Move.
I've got a
Second.
motion, I've got a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. So we are out of workshop, gaveling back in at 9:50 a.m. on the record. And 481 discusses the consider method of procurement, which is the 3 that I'm aware of that the code provides for: request for proposals, otherwise known as an RFP, request for qualification, RFQ, and/or selection of sole broker of Nueces County, which is what we've been discussing. And the purpose would be to obtain proposals and coverages of insurances in all areas of risk, but not limited to property and casualty, as defined by the Texas Government Code, and discuss and consider executing a professional services contract with the selected broker. And this agenda item also authorizes me at the appropriate time to execute the contract on this court's behalf with the selected broker. Lauda, would you be so kind as to explain what we had discussed yesterday about how we would actually, and we could do so within a very, very quick amount of time, about forming the committee to go over and be able to discuss and make that selection? Or is it your thought process that we would make the selection right here?
The selection is done here.
Okay, so we've foregone the committee.
The Commissioners Court is the one that decides the selection.
Okay,
The committee can review proposals from the insurance
okay,
time.
okay. So you don't want to do any type of committee before? We can make the decision now. That's fine.
If you're looking at a time issue,
Well, we are.
nothing wrong with that.
We are. It was mentioned, I'm just making certain that we all know. So if that is of interest to all of you, the concept of forming a committee to actually work with the broker selected to be able to analyze all the proposals, and then, of course, we would bring the recommendations back to Commissioners Court. But the committee would allow the opportunity for the broker in great detail to go over the proposals at a later date. Okay. All right. Go ahead.
I guess the first thing that we need to know is whether or not you're going through this method, the
Correct.
selection of the broker.
Right.
And then after that, there'll have to be a motion that it's a professional service.
Right. So it's three.
And then it's a selection,
Right.
and then we'll talk about the contracts.
So do I have a motion for a particular method of procurement to be selected?
I guess I move to go to the broker selection time.
Second?
Thank you. I've got a motion, a second, and that's Government Code, I believe, 262.036. Motion, a second. All those in favor for the sole broker procurement method signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay. The second piece of this is to discuss executing a sole broker under a professional services contract. To remind all of you, that is exempt from bidding.
Right. It's considered a professional service, and that's an exception to the bidding process.
Although we have gone through a competitive process, I would argue. Do I have a motion to execute a contract under the professional services contract allowed?
So moved.
I've got a motion and just need a second. And all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Okay, so we're going to move forward with executing a professional services contract.
You still now have to select.
Yes, and also, and then within the professional services, did you need a authorization for them to sign the agreement after the selection is
After
made?
selection, because the fee doesn't come into play until after the selection. So you have to select first.
And do we ratify that fee at a later date?
Yes, you
Okay.
could. We'll have to negotiate and bring the contract back.
Correct, that's what I mean, at a later date. Okay, so at this time, the authorization, we'll handle it a later time. At this time, I'm looking for a motion with regards to the actual broker of record for Nueces County for the purposes of insurance and property. I'm sorry, insurance as it relates to risk, including but not limited to property and casualty.
I just want to say that I think we have two really good companies here to choose from. I'm probably more comfortable with one because I know them so well, and I know what kind of work they do. And so I want to make a motion that we choose Carlisle.
Okay, I've got a motion. Do I have a second with regards to selection of Carlisle Insurance?
I make a motion, we select
Okay, second from
the other one. What-
Ms. Kingsbury.
Yeah, Kingsbury.
Okay, and I have a second for Commissioner Modis on, thank you, for Carlisle Insurance. Okay, having both nominations, we'll have to go to an individual.
Mine wasn't seconded.
Oh, you were not seconded, okay. Okay, well then, we have a motion and a second, and all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Okay, so Carlisle Insurance, you will be the broker of record. Ms. Kingsbury, I sincerely want to thank you for being a part of this process, and relationships are incredibly important, and I look forward to, there are many types of insurance that we work with here in this county, and we invite you at all times to come and be a part of our processes. It's delightful to have you. Thank you. Okay, there's a lot of work to be done after this meeting, and I hope you will indulge the fact that we have so much other county business. But please, Timothy, if you wouldn't mind, unless you're on the agenda right away, you might want to,
We'd like to have the opportunity to speak with him.
right, that's what I'm saying, right.
But is it for a one-year term?
Well, that's part of the negotiations, isn't it? But yes,
But I need some guidance.
I'd like to move that we do a one-year term.
that's fine. I've got a motion. Do I have a second?
I'm a,
Oh, go.
maybe 18 months. I'm just a little afraid that we're going to just barely get started, and I'd like to give someone a little time.
Well, actually, 18 months is a good number because we're about how many months away from our actual lapse in coverage?
2?
Okay, so in other words, we really need somebody to come through the next process.
18 months.
Okay. He's motioning 18 months. I'm seconding that motion, Judge.
Okay, I've got a motion and a second for 18 months. Joe, Ms. Jimenez, is that appropriate time frame? May I have a vote, please, can I call the question? If all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Okay, so we will go with an 18-month negotiated contract. So you will have an opportunity to visit with county attorney staff, and I'm sure you understand that process really well. Okay, thank you all for coming. And now we're going to go back in order. And commissioners, I believe that we have some items, Tyner, that we're going to table that are next, number 1 and number 2.
So moved.
And I'll second. And all those in favor of tabling items 1 and 2, and the reason is we've already gone over them. Sorry. It was really just meant to be very complete. Forgive me. Yes, ma'am. A1 and A2, there's a motion and a second to table. I'm sorry. You're right. E1, I said it wrong. E1
E2.
and E2. Kara, is it F, actually? I think it's F1 and 2.
No, it's.
No, these are the,
C1 and 2.
It's E.
Resolution?
I swear, this happens to me every time they bring the wrong agenda.
That's an old agenda.
Yeah,
Is it E1? It's E1, right?
mm-hmm.
I've got, okay.
It is.
E2.
Okay.
E1,
At any rate,
E1, E2.
I'd go off my big notebook, and then they change the order on me. Sorry. Thank you. E1 and E2, you are right. Merci. Thank you. Okay. So, the purpose is, again, we've already passed resolutions for these. I don't want you to think we're tabling them because there's a problem. We've already passed resolutions regarding these. So we're moving to the new one, which is in support of the Texas Trauma Network, which is number 3.
That's correct, and this comes from Commissioner Gonzalez's office.
Correct.
Did we vote on that, Judge? Did we vote on tabling?
No, maybe we didn't. I had a motion and a second.
You did.
Let's all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay, thank you for the, Go ahead.
I'll go forward with the Trauma Network. Whereas the Trauma Network in the state of Texas is comprised of 22 regions and includes 18 Level 1 comprehensive trauma facilities, 21 Level 2 trauma facilities, 56 Level 3 advanced trauma facilities, and 193 Level 4 basic trauma facilities, whereas Trauma Coastal Bend Regional Advisory Council for Region U encompasses the counties of Aransas, B, Brooks, Duval, Kennedy, Clayburgh, Live Oak, Jim Wells, McMullen, Nueces, Refugio, San Patricio, and have a combined population of approximately 600,000 residents. Whereas the Coastal Bend region is situated along the Texas Gulf Coast and is therefore at risk of experiencing widespread catastrophic flooding and damage, which may pose significant threats to life and property due to tropical storms, hurricanes, and other inclement weather events. Whereas approximately 40 Texans die every day due to traumatic injuries, and for every Texan that dies from a traumatic injury, at least 6 are injured. Whereas studies show that access to the appropriate level of medical care during the first 60 minutes of trauma incident, the golden hour, is critical to saving lives, and the American College of Surgeons recommends that each geographic region include a Level 1 or Level 2 trauma facility at its center and within a 30-minute transport time, and have a Level 1 trauma facility per 1 million residents, whereas approximately 25% of Texans live in a county not accessible to a Level 1 trauma facility, and the nearest Level 1 comprehensive trauma facility to Nueces County is located in San Antonio. Now therefore be it resolved that no Texan should ever go without timely access to the highest level of care when they need it. The Nueces County Commissioners Court hereby supports legislative efforts to make emergency preparedness funding available to strengthen the Texas Trauma Network and ensuring the residents of the Coastal Bend have timely access to the highest level of care when facing a severe traumatic incident.
Do I have a motion on this resolution in a second?
Second.
Motion in a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Judge, I had a question.
Of course.
So on this, I saw that was it the governor or lieutenant governor recently supported the valley in upgrading from a level 2 to a level 1. But what I remember, what stuck with me was the issue was that they have a medical school there in their region, and obviously we don't. So is that something that would prevent us from getting this, or what are we planning on doing? I mean, I don't mind passing resolutions, and I totally agree that we need to have this kind of access for all of our people. But I thought that was the one sticking point. Does anybody know? Or
You know, I don't know the answer with regards to the medical school. I can tell you on Thursday, most of us, I'm sure, have been invited to the new opening of Krista Spahn's new tower. And I think we're incredibly fortunate because the head of trauma has now become the CEO, Dr. Oswald Blow. And so in that vein, I think we're going to have an excellent resource to be able to define whether or not a teaching institution is a nexus to getting a higher level trauma grade. I can tell you what I know, and that is that there are centers of excellence within the trauma level designation. For example, our stroke center. And I know that's something that we're all, at least in our community, committed to making sure we have the highest level of care, so that at least as to that center, that niche of excellence, as it regards to stroke, we could be at the highest level to take care of that. I can tell you we're not. So working towards that designation is going to be absolutely critical.
And I don't think this will affect any kind of a school down the road, or I think what the senator is doing right now in passing this resolution is making sure that we have those funds here, although we're a very high level 2 trauma, and hopefully their mission is to someday become a level 1, because we're not 30 minutes away from level 1, we're about an hour and 10 minutes away from a level 1. So we just want to make sure we have those funds to treat people we have to here without having to travel an hour and 30 minutes away. So, but I don't think, as far as affecting kind of a medical school or anything else, I don't think that would be the picture here.
well, like I said, I mean, I'm all in favor of this. It just that one question that came up, and I wasn't sure how that played into it, but I wholeheartedly support this and believe and agree, and will do everything I can to help support this for our region, because I agree. I think that this is needed, and I'm looking forward to tomorrow.
Yeah, me too. And Chris just asked for our help in this regard as well. So I think we're answering the call of our healthcare provider. It's our partnership there. Okay, I was just about to start. I think we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay, at this time, we're going to handle board appointments, and the first is to the Nueces County Airport Advisory Board. The second will be to the Mental Health and Intellectual Disabilities Board, and the last, Tyner, is to the South Texas Water Authority. And if you would handle those.
The Nueces County Airport Advisory Board, there's a vacancy in the Precinct 2 position. There's an application from Renee Cervantes for that vacancy.
So moved.
I believe this also falls within your
In my jurisdiction.
in your jurisdiction. So I have a motion from the commissioner. Do I have a second? A second. A motion, a second. All those in favor of Mr. Cervantes serving on this important board signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Thank you, Mr. Cervantes. I saw you in the audience and appreciate you being here. I cannot stress this enough. I think for board appointments and commissions, and we understand work schedules sometimes don't always allow it, but I think it means something to the court for you to care enough to be here to let us know you're willing to serve, and that's a very important asset for Nueces County, so Take good care of it. Thank you so much. How about the Mental Health Intellectual Disabilities Board?
You have, there's 4 places that expire April. Current members Pamela Brower, John Jackson, and Dr. Linda Frost have submitted reappointment letters. Carolyn Wilson has submitted a resignation letter, but you do have Jamie Phillips applying for that empty position. So you have, you can make 3 reappointments to the 2-year term. That would be for Pamela Brower, John Jackson, and Dr. Linda Frost. And then you would have 1 appointment to fill the resigned seat for a 2-year term.
I make a motion to reappoint and then to appoint Jamie Phillips.
Second.
Yes, all the resumes are in order and excellent qualifications. Motion is second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay.
And on the South Texas Water Authority, you have an incumbent for place 6 that has requested reappointment. That would be Kathleen Lohman.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. I have reviewed her qualifications, and they are in order. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Ms. Lohman? Aye. And the motion carries. I'd like to go now to public comment and ask that you look at your already. Great. We only have one at this time, and it's Ms. Carolyn Vaughn. I know her.
I just want to give an update on the fraud committee. We met yesterday, and this has not been updated since 2011. So the county judge and the committee appointed the county attorney and an appointment from your representative from the auditor's office to go over our policy and update it and hopefully put some more meat into it if it needs that. But ultimately, it's going to be up to the elected officials and the departments to make sure that it's followed. As an elected official, I can only say I think everyone would want to be transparent and ethical, so I'm hoping that's what's going to happen, but we'll keep you updated on it. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your service on that. Having no further sign-ins for public comment, I'll give you one last chance for the audience. Okay? We're going to proceed into the consent agenda at this time, and I would ask if there are any items to be removed from the consent agenda for discussion, and I do have one, but that's F. Commissioners?
No, ma'am.
Hearing none, I'm going to ask for a motion A through E, excluding F, and then G through P.
So moved.
Do I have a second? Having a motion and a second, all those in favor signify by saying aye of approving all those items aforementioned in the consent agenda.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. The reason I pulled F, Commissioners, because I just recognized that we have so many outside agencies here represented, and I'd like to acknowledge them and thank them for what they're doing. I'm not sure that's why they're here, but it dawns on me that I saw I'd like to go through them. Outside agency contracts are our opportunity to assist all the good work that's being done by the 501c3s throughout our county, and American Red Cross, Boys and Girls Club, Children's Advocacy Center, Coastal Bend Bays and Estuaries, Corpus Christi Police Officers Association, Del Mar College, Flower Bluff Association, Hammond's Education Leadership Programs, Northwest Business Association are all entities that will be receiving funds from different commissioners, and they're outlined in your agenda, as well as the county judge's office. And actually, there are many, many more, but they're not listed, so I suppose we're going to get them piecemeal. So, sorry, I actually recognize people that are here, but they're not on this outside agency contract list. But included in those are the RADC, at least from the county judges, and then I spotted someone else here earlier that's no longer in the audience. But just want to thank the commissioners for giving so much and for making such a good effort to choose great agencies. I wish we could do more. I know you do too.
Move passage.
Okay.
And all those in favor in approving F, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. We're now in the regular agenda items. We've already proceeded with 4A1, and I'll move to receiving a presentation from Cleo Rodriguez Jr., who's the Executive Director of the United Corpus Christi Chamber of Commerce, and my good friend, and I'm so glad to have you here. You're going to report upon the activities relating to windstorm, well, to TWIA, and your current year activities in the 2018-2019 contract.
That is correct.
Thank you.
Good morning, Judge Canales.
Good morning.
Commissioners. Thank you for inviting us here today. And first of all, we want to start off by thanking you for the contribution and the support over the years to United Corpus Christi Chamber of Commerce and for the current consideration. I'm here to report on the 2014-2015 contributions. At that time, the Chamber secured the services of Eddie Cavazos to represent our interest in Austin and to work exclusively on passing legislation to reform the Texas Windstorm Insurance Association, better known as TWIA, and who we all either love or hate. With the help of our delegation, we drafted...
Wait. Is there someone who loves them? Because I
The people that,
would like someone to,
That to the...
can we take a vote on that
Families.
one? No, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Just presentation. My bad. Go ahead.
Just, you took me off track.
Yeah, that's all right. Didn't mean it.
With the help of our delegation, we drafted a bill which included the most pressing issues of the TWIA policyholders, and this included expanding the governing board to give policyholders equal footing compared to the insurance industry members. It also included establishing a financial structure that provides a stable, sustainable, and affordable rate structure capable of covering a 1 to 100-year storm. And the bill required insurance companies to pay allowable assessments sooner in the funding scheme. During the legislative session, the Chamber organized 6 trips to Austin to advocate for this legislation, and we also testified on various hearings. Attendees included our Chamber members, our business community, our community members, and our elected officials. Through our collective efforts and the work of our local delegation, we were successful in passing Senate Bill 900, which included all of the above-mentioned reforms, and Governor Abbott signed it into law on June 16, 2015. Fast forward to today, Hurricane Harvey inspired us to form a tight coalition with other Chamber of Commerces in the Coastal Bend, now known as the Coastal Bend United. Our efforts began with collective grant efforts to fund small businesses to reopen after the devastation of Hurricane Harvey, and has evolved to a share advocacy agenda. Our number one issue remains windstorm insurance reform. We have organized rallies, meetings, and a 14-county-wide petition, which I may proudly add, garnered over 5,000 signatures. Our sole purpose was to state our position on TWIA. The governor intervened, and a rate increase was postponed until later this year. During this legislative session, we've hired Trace Finley of Gateway Partners to be our consultant. We are tracking several bills addressing windstorm insurance, including TWIA sunset legislation. We have organized our members and our community to travel to Austin, and we continue to monitor and travel to Austin in an effort to advocate for our policyholders here in the Coastal Bend. Again, we would like to thank you for the contribution in 2014, 2015, and for the consideration here today. Myself or my colleague and Vice President of Government Relations, Ms. Jenny Cross, are happy to entertain any questions. Hearing none.
Leo, I've been so fortunate to serve on the Chamber of Commerce. I'm now serving ex officio, but I'm just very familiar with the general good business climate and relationships you guys have been able to forge since becoming the United Chamber of Commerce. And I think whether it's membership that's growing or our opportunities to be better advocates at the federal level and the state level, which you didn't mention, but you're doing great work at the federal level, especially through the South Texas Military Task Force, which people forget is a division of the Chamber of Commerce. But for that entity, we would not have the South Texas Military Task Force. So I'm particularly interested in all of your advocacy, and also the Coastal Bend Day in Austin was orchestrated could not have happened without Jenny and your office. So, I mean, you're being a little humble. You're doing a lot more than TWIA. And we're grateful. And if you'd stick around for one more item, I'm laying all this we say in Spanish, echando flores. I'm giving all the flowers to your feet so you can help us in one more endeavor. So stick around because I want to challenge the business, the chamber and the business community to get involved in yet another important project.
Very nice.
But are there any questions for Cleo? And I know you include us, but can I also make a request? We have new members. I'm new. I mean, you'd think I would know everything, but I know I don't. So just please include all the commissioners on all of your activities, all of your events, all of the electeds in the county. We all want to be a part of the chamber. And I don't know, sometimes we just take it for granted that the clerk would know but I just would love for the county to have a nice presence when you're involved with planning some of your special events. Would you also address State of the County and how you make a concerted effort to bring that to us as well?
So the State of the County, from my understanding, is May the 30th.
Correct.
And it is going to be held in a county facility, which is the Richard Borchard Center or facility.
Yes, Fairgrounds.
Thank you. And I'm excited about that. I mean, this is the first time that we will be hosting that event, to my knowledge, in a county facility. And we've got a great, it is one of the activities that we do facilitate on your behalf, and we're looking forward to it. There's a lot of interest in it. We just had State of the City last week. It was a sold-out event, and I don't anticipate this one not being sold out. People are very excited to be able to come and support and to hear from this court, to hear what the vision is for the next year, and being able to lay out the agenda for the court. And so we look forward to being able to host you all and to put that on.
Thank you for all that hard work, because really, we do the presentation, but you guys do all the heavy lifting and creating the event itself, so.
And I want to go back because you mentioned something. The advocacy piece is probably one of those hidden advantages of the United Corpus Christi Chamber of Commerce, because I think so many people don't realize that when they become a member, that what they're contributing to is not only the work of the chamber, but that hidden work, which is the advocacy piece, which is the windstorm, which is the federal policies that we advocate for, and all of these things that we monitor and that we watch on behalf of the business community in this community. So it is one of those hidden things and those hidden gems that are part of the membership.
Mm-hmm. And as a last tooting of your own horn, I know that because of the work of Dr. Hilda Ramirez, who is a member of the chamber, Corpus Christi, the urban center of Nueces County, was selected as only one of 5 cities nationwide. I don't know if you'd like to pay kudos to her.
And yes, and it is an opportunity to brag about the work that we've been able to do, and this is about workforce development and education, and so we are one of 5.
It's a grant.
Yeah, it is a grant. Mm-hmm. That is correct, and we just got awarded that, and so it is an opportunity to bring together some of that work that Dr. Ramirez works on behalf of the small business and the workforce development of the community.
And I don't know if you know, but Dr. Ramirez has asked for me to be able to sit on that committee so the county can be a part of the success of that work and filling that gap between equity and the workplace. So thank you for that, Cleo. Is there any other discussion or further questions for Cleo? Okay. Thank you so much again.
Gracias.
So
You have an action item there, Judge.
we do. We need to have a motion for the
The 1819.
1819 contract? Okay, so I have a motion from Commissioner Chesney? Is that right?
Yes.
Did you move? And a second, please? And all those in favor of approving the 2018-29 contract signify by saying aye. Aye. Pose same sign. Okay. And the next one is, sorry, Cleo, it's not next one, but the next one. The number 3 is discuss and consider adoption of a resolution supporting of utilizing public-private partnerships and approving the Nueces County Public-Private Partnership Guidelines in accordance with Chapter 2267 of the Texas Government Code. And Tyner, will you give the background as to how we actually developed this policy? And I know everyone's been provided a copy, but
Well, this is actually, I think it was pretty much your first week of office.
Yes.
That this started to get discussed with Blakely, who the county has hired as a consultant. And without naming any names, there are some projects that the judge is aware of that really haven't been released to the public yet. But a lot of these things that the judge have been approached about, and a lot of advanced counties have this in place already. And what is required before you can even endeavor into, treating those, implementing the process correctly to even entertain these projects that may come our way,
Right.
it's required to have a P3 policy adopted by the county. Just this in and of itself does not cost the county anything. It is a policy in place that can be amended at a later date, but it authorizes us or sets the guidelines to start the process of endeavoring into a possible public-private partnership.
That's correct. Public-private partnerships are, actually, these policies are actually approved by the Facilities Commission in the state of Texas, I believe, and when you adopt them, and also require a competitive bidding process if you enter into a P3. So this is just for the purposes of having the policy and the guidelines established for our county. By no means does it say we have a P3 with any entity. It just gives us the framework if you actually wanted to enter into it. The most common way public entities get involved with P3s that's quite beneficial from a financial perspective is if you have to build a new government building. You can often enter into a P3 arrangement with somebody who likes to build government buildings, typically under the GSA contract guidelines, and then they lease it back to you for 30 to 40 years. And the entity is relieved of the maintenance and the insurance, the property taxes if they don't own the property. Sometimes the property is part of the P3. But these are, again, effective modern tools. I'm just committed to bringing us into the future. And this is not even futuristic. This is old school. But we needed to get, we needed to get modernized with.
Judge, as many tools that we can have in a tool shed, it's good because that way we don't have to come back and start
Right.
from square one. We know we can go out there and just pull that tool and start working with it, So I think this is a good idea to have more tools that we can, have. And there's not that many tools we can have in a tool shed. We need to have as many as we can.
Yeah.
But, and you talk about government buildings, you talk about jails, talk about everything else like that.
That's exactly right.
So, it's a good thing. So I move.
And do I have a second? Any further discussion? And there's plenty of time to amend these guidelines. This is our first stab, but it was not Tyner or I. We consulted with someone who's already working for Nueces County, and that's Bracewell Law Firm, who are public finance experts, and this is the guidelines that have been used in best practices in other counties our size, and we think that they are good ones to start with. Okay, hearing no further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay, so number 4 is discuss and consider a contribution of $48,000 to Nueces Together, a nonprofit 501c3 formed to assist in an accurate count of the Nueces County population in the 2020 census. And I guess I'm going to go ahead and take the lead, and Tyner, you can jump in as you've been, I don't know, maybe you have, at least you could speak to how the court managed before, and then Dale, I'll also throw you a question because I, of course, this court is living off a previous fiscal year budget, and my number one question was whether or not the previous court, because it's my understanding they did not make any appropriations for the 2020 census. Is that correct, Dale? Okay. The nice thing about being county judge is you get to attend a lot of, training and opportunities to serve on different committees across the state. The one where I'm learning the most is our Urban Counties Committee, and particularly the Policy Committee. We are a member of the Urban Counties, and all the urban counties in Texas are participating in a very strong way to augment what the Department of Commerce is already engaging in, and that is doing their best efforts to learn how to count people. For the 2020 census. Every 10 years in this country, we have an opportunity to get as close to an accurate count for each of our counties as possible. Why is it so important? Well, it's absolutely critical for everybody. I can almost look around and make a nexus to federal funding. Right. It's all about dollars, whether it's transportation dollars, healthcare dollars through our Medicaid programming, our federal grants, all of the federal components of dollars are appropriated based on population. And as such, there's typically an undercount that happens every 10 years, typically 1 to 3%. This gives me no pleasure to say this, but the experts now believe that the undercount will go as high as 8 to 10% if we don't have a strong, motivated effort in our counties to be able to count people. People are afraid to answer federal questions. There's actually a Supreme Court case going forward about a federal question. But putting that aside, this is the most important time, I believe, to make Nueces count. And that's what the purpose of Nueces Together is. I want to make certain that we understand the difference. There is a complete count committee, and that is a county process. That is something that you'll remember the gentleman that came to see us, Department of Commerce, David Gossett. He asked us to form a complete count committee, and we're doing that, cooperating with the city. This is different. So our official role, commissioners, and my official role is heading up that complete count committee. But this is separate, and what all the urban counties are doing that are motivated, as we are, I hope, to get the federal dollars that we deserve. And by the way, they really are ours. We're paying our taxes to get this money back. So don't think of it as a gift. It's your money. It's just coming back to us. And so this is an opportunity to create a really first-class opportunity to do everything from printed mail to phone calling to TV, PSAs, radio, maybe billboards, bus wraps. We're looking for partnerships and to help us explain a little bit more about the 501c3, actually have some folks in the room that I think probably could speak to it. And I know Austin, Travis County, I think is appropriating somewhere around $500,000. I think Houston's putting $1 million in. These are really important efforts. When you have a bond campaign, you'll you'll always see a 501c3 form of community citizens to help explain to the community why it's so important to fill out the census. This year, for the first time, we're going to move to online census applications, as well as some of the more conventional means. So with that, I have, for your consideration, brought forth an idea that I think we hope our city partners will join and match us. I hope our port partners will match us. I hope our RTA partners will match us. And the reason I asked you to stay, Cleo, is I'm hoping that the Chamber of Commerce will support the effort along with the Better Business Bureau so that our business community can also be involved. This is truly about us all together. Nobody should be left out. And so how I came up with that number is I just chose a number that was a little under 50,000, and that number came about because I asked Teresa to help figure out if there was any room in the budget for anything like this, and you'll appreciate that she said, oh yes, if every commissioner gives $9,600, there is room in the budget for this. And Dale, maybe you can, now I can turn it over to you to explain the 9,600.
Each of the commissioners every year receive a certain amount of funds in what we call our special revenue funds, which is your precinct funds and the county judge funds that you can use at your discretion for areas within your precinct or throughout the county. And that's what Teresa's talking about. These are funds that we can use for road construction, building improvements, any kind of work that we can do to help benefit the county. And this is one of those items that can be done. And I believe every year we fund about $70,000 into your special revenue funds for this purpose, and that's what the funds are available for.
Except for me, who didn't.
This last year, you're correct.
Say it again.
I didn't get any this year.
Oh, you didn't?
I didn't take any this year in the budget, so
Right.
just so we're clear.
But everyone right now, everyone has sufficient funds in their budgets to cover this. Yes.
Thank you, Brent.
No,
Welcome.
just, so I'm not being
Okay, so
mean, if I say no,
I may
don't.
I may have to give double then, so I can cover Brent. You know, I want to share a few things. I hope you have more questions. The way that this should be structured based on, again, best practices is this will run outside the county, right? This Nueces Together, we would be giving a 501c3 group that is actually in the process of being formed by a lawyer in Austin named Tim Sorrells, and I thought he would be a good pick because he's the former general counsel of the Ethics Commission in Texas. So he's a good, you got to have a lawyer to make application and pay the fee. I think it's $750 nowadays to absolutely, form a 501c3. Then you'll have 4 members of the committee, and then 4 members of the corporation, the 501c3. And then after that is done, then those members would then seek out staff and folks to help create this campaign, if you will, to make Nueces count. And I think that we are behind, but I think we can catch up by putting together a really good program. And I'm willing to take the lead in hopefully, creating a little momentum here, starting at the county, and hopefully the city and the port and the RTA and others will see fit to do exactly what we're doing. It's going to take all of us to recognize. And why did I choose all those entities to speak of? Because each one of them depends upon federal funds to do the work that they do. So there's a real nexus here, and it means just, millions and millions later out. I think the goal has to be that,
We're already behind on this thing. I don't know. And the thing is, sometimes we say, why does San Antonio or Austin get all the money? We get less money. Well, I think it's because of numbers, and I guess they count better than we do. But I think it's, this time around, we just need to make sure that all the rural areas and the colonias are really, they're hit hard. And if it's got to be door to door, then it should be door to door. But, I think that people that can relate to people should be part of this committee. People that can speak Spanish, people that can, need to be part of this committee because you deal out there in the rural areas. That's what you need, So, but I agree with you. I think this is good. I think we need to get started. I think, we're going to have to work double time, and so we want to do this for 10 years. So we got to do it now so we can get more dollars down here. So.
And so tell me, I'm a little confused. Why are we doing it this way? Because is this how Travis and all these other counties do it and we just didn't do it? Did we not do it the last time around?
Yes, that's correct. There are people that don't believe in counting people. It's an unfortunate statement, but it's true. You know what? I'm going to tell you I want to give you a math problem. $48,000 means if we count 28 more people, we will pay for that. That will be worth it. But in the audience, I have Patrick McDonald, and Steve Ray is actually here. I don't mean to put you guys on the spot, but you are the guys that I have really gone to for information about how other counties are involved in this process. And I've asked both of you because you both bring to the table expertise in data collecting and how a county would go about aggressively making sure that we knocked on doors and made sure that people were reached in every single way they could. And would it be all right if I put you on the spot just for a brief time, if both of you would come up and just speak to Commissioner Chesney's question about, hey, look, what's going on in other counties? Because this isn't something unique. This is something that is, quite frankly, Commissioner, you nailed it. We're behind.
And let me also get y'all to address, I want to make sure, and I think this is real important too, as we collect this data, what happens to it, who gets it, who doesn't get it. Respectfully, I don't want either party or campaigns to get this data. This is not what we're doing this for. So I think it's real important that we put that on the record, that if we're going to do this, this is, I guess, proprietary in some respects. So if y'all can.
Yeah, we will step out of it. And you guys have been consulting with me to let me know how the best way other communities are handling it. And both of you represent different sides of the aisle, but this is truly a together process, and that's why I asked both of you to come forward.
Thanks, Judge. Well, Commissioner Chesney, off the bat, I don't work for a party. I've never worked for any party entity. Full disclosure, I'm a precinct chair in Travis County, but that's where the official involvement ends. Where does the data go? It would go directly to Nueces County. The intention is that we would actually create a lot of portals so that when we are, physically handing an iPad or an iPhone to a resident here in Nueces County to fill out the survey, that we could capture the data, because we want it to go off to the feds so that Nueces County and the Coastal Bend region can get the money that they've paid. But we also want it to be useful for the County Commissioner's Court as well as the City of Corpus Christi, RTA, Port, etc. So I always operate in a fully transparent process in all my various projects. I've done similar things with Capital Metro in Austin, and a lot of stuff in Central Texas. So, I sign an NDA, Steve does, everything is yours. It's not for the Nueces County CEC or the Nueces County Republican Party. So I just want to clear the air on that.
Perfect. Thank you. Appreciate
And
that.
Steve, you might want to speak to what you know in the business, as I say.
Right, and I would just want to make one thing really clear. Texas overall is way behind. I think California has already put $90 million into making sure that people in California are counted. Texas has put zero.
And is that going to change? Or
There is legislation to make that change, but it hasn't moved anywhere. So a lot of this is now following on counties and on cities, and any city that is very smart in this state has already begun. The Valley has already begun. Houston, they went through the list, and I know that y'all have already had a presentation where it talks about the amount that each new person that you register or that you make sure is on the census is, and it's $1,600, I think, is what they're at right now. And that's $1,600 not just for the whole 10 years. That's $1,600 a year for each person that is counted that would not otherwise be counted. So it's extremely important, I think, to Nueces County and to Corpus Christi to make sure that every single person is counted. It's not a political deal, even though it does affect some political aspects. It affects how many congressmen you have, for example, which is the reason California is really interested, because they want to make sure they have more congressmen than Texas. It affects how much Medicaid you get in. It affects all sorts of different federal transportation dollars and everything else. So it's really, I think, one of the most important things that you can do in the next 10 years to affect us in the next 10 years for Nueces County.
Does California get to count all the people that are leaving California coming to Texas?
I'm sure they're going to try. They'll probably be standing at the border with a census form for them to fill out. And so I think one of the main things, just so you know, that we need to do in Nueces County is to ensure that everyone, including undercounted groups, are included in the census so that we will get that federal money coming in. So it's not going to be a Republican deal. It's not a Democratic deal. I think one of the reasons we did it this way is to make sure that that's really clear to everyone. But this is a Nueces County thing, and it's something that's extremely important to the future of this county.
And have y'all formed the nonprofit?
Tim Sorrells is, working on it right now. The truth is that we haven't formed it, so this agenda item is contingent upon getting all the right. And the reason is we need to get buy-in from the city and everybody. But I think the documentation requires 4 members, and we were hoping that after this, then this would be able to be an entree to the city to say, okay, would you like to have a member, on there, and that we could go forward. The one gentleman that has come forward, because when you do this paperwork, is you need a registered agent, and Mr. Robert Cuevas, you might know him as the office manager from Linebarger. He has agreed, and you guys agreed that he would be a good member and a good registered agent. The registered agent is just somebody who receives the mail.
And
for any official
The
capacity.
data is all proprietary. It is not going to be shared with the Nueces County Democratic Party or the Nueces County Republican Party or anything like that. It is something that's proprietary to the nonprofit and to the group.
It's mind-boggling to me that Texas isn't putting any money into this and that it's being relied upon with the counties.
Non-funded mandate.
Well, it's,
Because we're all going to be doing.
Yeah, I agree with you, but I think even if the state put money into it, it's really
it's best at the county level.
that it goes down to the county level and
And really, the undercount always exists, okay? Those people who truly understand census.
I think if I can remember right, and I'm just trying to remember what I read about it, but I think in the last census, only 70-something%, 72 or something like that percent of Nueces County was included in the census. So you can imagine if we'd have had another 30-something%, how much more money we would have brought in in federal dollars. And
Yeah. We really need everybody to get behind this. I have an official role, and my official role is to work with the federal government through the CCC, right, the Complete Count Committee. So this would be something different, but my role is to get this going and started, because if we don't, it requires leadership to get it going, and then once it goes, it goes. But it does function very much like an orchestrated campaign, and that's why you'll see these two individuals as being great consultants, because they know how to run first-class campaigns, and the campaign is about making people understand how important it is and not to be afraid. That's Cleo, that's what we got to convince. Don't be afraid to answer this paperwork. And then, of course, we want to work with the Better Business Bureau so that if we call you, it's not a scam to get your information, right? That they understand that this is the right group to answer the question.
Y'all, both of them will be part of the committee then, as the nonprofit committee, would both of them be part?
They will both be actively involved in it, yes. There will be a structure, and I'm sure they'll come back and tell us everything. The idea is can we get going? And is that the idea?
That's exactly right. And Commissioner Gonzalez, it's actually a two-pronged deal, because there are two different groups. You have the nonprofit group, and then you have the other group that's made up of stakeholders throughout the whole county that will also be involved in making sure that information gets out there, that the correct information gets out there to everyone here, so that we can get as many people on the census as
You'll
possible.
be consulting the nonprofit
Yes.
group?
Patrick, and you'll be on the nonprofit side. Steve will be on the nonprofit side. All of us will work on the official government side.
We'll work with the official group as well as, anytime that they need anything.
It's just great. I just see it working if even the chamber gets involved in saying, do a massive mail out to, everybody, coming from the chamber, sometimes it just catches people's eye and, saying, the census is here, we need to get county, whatever. I think there's a lot of things that people can play a role in, we just need to make sure that, it's like you said, everybody needs to be jumping on board on this one here, because it affects the whole community.
Absolutely.
Thank you for your help.
No, Commissioner Gonzalez, the design is for Nueces Together, the nonprofit, to really be a force multiplier for the various complete count committees. In a perfect world, it would be a faith-based complete count committee, and all the various stakeholder groups throughout. So that's the idea. Pretty seamless coordination is the intention. It won't be Nueces Together with Steve and Patrick talking to each other and then everyone figuring it out. We want a fully coordinated information campaign through 2020.
Yes. Anyway, that's a good background. It looks like you might have a question.
I do.
Absolutely.
I think we need to do the census, no doubt, but I do have some concerns. You say it's going to be non-political. Everything's political. You know that as well as I do, and I know you're going to try and make it that, but you're going to have people from both sides saying this isn't fair, it was a stacked deck to do this census. I'm just being blunt. That's the way it's going to be. But I would like to see that it is nonpartisan, because we do have to do the count, and people are not going to trust it. I don't care what you do, they're not going to trust it, either side, but we have to trust it to a level. And I understand that. So I'm concerned about who the other people are on the corporation, because you two will be on there, but we don't know who the others are yet. Judge, you said you're going to put someone from the county, the city.
Well,
Commissioner, let me address
go
this.
ahead and get
Let me
the
address this for just a second.
differences.
Because one of the things that I know in the talks that we've had, we've discussed this, because we obviously know that because the amount of people that you have affects the number of congressional
Sure.
places that you have. It also affects the number of electors that the state of Texas has in the presidential races. And so what we've discussed is to make sure that it's part of our responsibility of both groups is to make people understand that this is not about politics. This is not about getting more Republican congressmen in. This is not about getting more Democratic congressmen in. It's really not about that. You may get more congressmen, but how that affects, that's still going to be decided by the voters. That's not going to be decided by the people that register for the census if they're not voting. So it's going to obviously have that tinge to it. People are going to wonder about that. People are going to worry about that. And will be Patrick and my responsibility and the responsibility of everyone on these boards and everything else to explain to people that no, it's not a political process. It is a process that affects the entire county. And does it affect politics generally? It affects not really politics, but it does affect government because it affects how many congressmen you're going to have. It affects how, everything on that because the number of people, the political aspects are all related to the number of people that are registered.
I just want us to
Right.
have our
I
eyes
understand.
open
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
there's always mistrust. There's going to be. But I think it has to be done. My concern is, Judge, can you approve this without the 501c being formed?
No, Lauda,
We'll bring a contract, but it won't be back until they're actually formed, and they won't get the money until they're
Right.
actually.
Well, yeah, and I think we'd all like to know the makeup of that nonprofit and who's on it and what it's all about. And I mean, I think the public would be too before we just,
Absolutely. Transparent.
give money to something that. we
yeah,
don't know.
absolutely. And just remember, the organization, you're looking at them right here. The membership are the people that would make certain that all of the technical rules are being followed in a 501c3. For example, there is compliance, there's the setting up of, a bank account and the authorization of funds. But make no mistake, you are looking at the people that would be running, so to speak, the campaign to make Nueces count. And, but having said that, the idea is to create a funding mechanism. And one of the suggested ways was this $9,600 appropriation from each of us. And that was what we really were bringing here for your discussion and for you to create some awareness that, hey, we've got to get started. But you can't have you certainly don't want to spend money before you make money. A lawyer, in order to do those paperworks correctly, you need dollars. There is a filing fee that the state of Texas requires for a 501c3. You have to create an accountant relationship, so that you can have your compliance paperwork filled. So you need money to begin, and that's what's really important.
And Judge, may I ask, how quickly are we going to move on this? Because like you said, we're behind, and government always is slow. And have we had conversations with the RTA, the city?
Well, just as they say, not from the dais, okay? But what I was hoping is that today would be a first step, and then we would allow maybe you all to get on their board agendas as well. I certainly have had casual conversations with all of entities to know how important it is, and they get it, just so you know. And also the public can participate too. We fully expect that both companies from the private sector as well as possible private donors would want to give to this campaign because they also understand how much it affects their businesses. So it's certainly not limited to governmental entities. It's just to get going. There's sort of a budget in mind. Those of us that know how to have been a part of bond campaigns and these types of things before, we know how much it costs. So yeah, I think we need to target, but I think everyone should match what we do.
Absolutely. Drop in the
Is that,
bucket.
but like, let's say the EDC, Carolyn, I was thinking the EDC maybe doesn't have the funds to match, but we could ask them to consider a contribution, right? Anybody who understands what it means to our neck of the woods. The undercount typically is 1% to 3% at any given time, for the census. But remember, this isn't an if. It's happening. It's mandatory. We get to tell everybody, we're going to make sure that you get your money's worth from your federal taxes that you're paying by letting it come back to your community. But the only way it works is if we count. And everybody counts. Every man, woman, and child counts.
Exactly right, and I appreciate you bringing the name of the EDC up, because people also need to understand that the number of people that we have counted on the census is very important to the economic development arena, because companies who come into Nueces County or into this region are going to look to make sure that we have the workforce capability for them to be here, so.
And then, Judge, just to put it in perspective, Dallas County has already allocated $1.8 million on TV alone.
You're making me feel very cheap right now.
Dallas County, it's about 1.8 million. Travis County is already allocating about $500,000 just for efforts like this. So we have an opportunity here, but we need to.
We need to take it.
Does this,
The date line, I think, that we had discussed, we really need to be started.
April 1.
and does this info go to the federal government?
Yes, they're the ones that require
They're
it.
requesting it, so it goes to them as well. Just making sure.
And in fact, this is just to make sure that people do what the federal government's asking them to do. Maybe you should clarify that. Your purpose is to make certain that people are complying with the federal census request.
Correct.
Okay. I think that's it, guys. Thank you. Let's see. So Brent has no money.
Well, I just need to go, I really need to go look, because I didn't know you were asking, may have missed it. I didn't know you were asking for us to do this. I was wondering, that was one of the questions I had for you yesterday, but I was wondering where the money was coming from, so.
I'm sorry, I did not,
No,
was not aware of your special revenue.
No, it's okay. Yeah, that's okay. I did it to myself.
Last year, though.
So
Yeah, but I gave it to you.
I'm willing, so just so I know, Commissioner, you gave your special revenue to Commissioner Vaughn?
No.
Oh, no, he
I
sure
just
did
didn't
not.
take mine.
I wish, no.
I didn't take mine this year based on the budget
Because he had
concerns
so
that I
much
had.
money.
No,
Okay.
I have bond money left over.
Well, I can
use bond money.
I'd be willing to double,
Well, I just need to go look, Judge.
yeah, to double mine.
Okay.
They'll take care of it.
So discuss and consider a contribution, Loudon, help us out here so we can get a motion. Discuss and consider a contribution. Could I make the motion that this does not, that we could vote to appropriate it, but that you have,
Subject to that contract.
subject to the contract, subject to ratification and approval by this court? Or-
The contract will have to come back.
Okay. The contract will have to, okay, that's,
Once the contract comes back, they have already formed, they're ready to go, and,
and we can make that seamless, because that April 1 is really, I know that's tight, given our time frame here, but we could try to get as close to that as possible.
correct.
So moved.
All right, I've got a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second.
No, you may-
It's to appropriate it, but I believe we can go back and work on budget.
Oh, okay. I just need to go.
It'll come back to us, so.
If you look at the attachment, we already have found money from each of our budgets.
That's correct, but I wasn't familiar with the
They found your
department.
money already, Brent.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't,
He wants to verify
well,
that.
yeah, and I don't, yeah, I would like to just go verify that.
Right,
I just
and-
need to go look.
Teresa can help us with that, too. Thank you, Teresa.
Brent, it only takes a second. I verified mine this morning.
Yeah, well, that's because you
Okay.
got money this year. I didn't. So remind you that.
This feels so much like family, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Um,
kind of does.
Motion from Commissioner Gonzalez. I don't know if I heard a second, but for the clerk, Commissioner Vaughn, second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Pose same sign. Okay.
Reword the motion, please. I'm not.
Yes, of course. Now, I didn't really read it. Okay, so I said that I added the language. I said we are going to appropriate $48,000 for Nueces Together, a nonprofit 501c3, subject to its formation and its approval by this court and the county attorney. Is that correct? Can you help Ms. Sands with that?
That's fine. We'll still have to bring it back, but that's fine.
It's coming back, subject to Commissioner Court ratification, subject to Commissioner Court's ratification. Okay. Okay, next, guys, is the approval of a licensing agreement with Northwest Corpus Christi Little Miss Kickball, and it's for the purposes of using the county fields at 4025 Crenshaw. And
So
Edward, you don't have to say a word just right now. Hold on. So moved. I got a second?
Oh, I want to have a discussion.
Okay, but just give me a second.
I'll go to second so you can discuss.
And now we can discuss. Go ahead.
Thank you, Jack. Edward, why don't you go?
Good morning, Judge.
Good morning, Edward.
Essentially, this agreement is a codification of what we're doing out there now.
Okay,
Various parks, various leagues, and in this case, what we're doing here is we're creating a 2-year term with 2 additional 2-year terms, and then eventually we'll continue on, because this league has been out there for 30, 40 years. Essentially, they're going to be, we're stair-stepping the utilities. We're also allocating to them maintenance of the facility as well. And the first year, they're going to only pay $5,000 in utilities. We'll pay the remainder, and then next year's $2,500, and eventually they'll be taking up the whole amount. We will continue to support them, as Commissioner says, and
Well, and the reason I'm doing this is because I think it's important that you update your agreements every year, that you look at, every 2 years, whatever they are. But it needs to be fair for every person that's using the grounds. And I don't think it has been in the past, because we have subsidized some and not the other. So this right here is going to give, they make money off a concession, and, of course, it's a county park and you should be able to use it. But on the other hand, they need to pay. If they've got money, they need to pay. Old Belt Little League pays everything, and we have been paying the entire utility bill, utilities, and they run about how much, Edward? 10,000. So the first year, we're going to do 5, and we're going to gradually go down so it doesn't hit them, all at one time. So I think this is a fair thing to do.
and they were in agreement?
We haven't talked to them yet. We're going to present it to them.
Okay,
We hope they are.
okay.
Probably won't get votes out there, but hey, it's the right thing to do. We're going to save some money.
Well, it sounds like it's consistent.
It's consistent because the others are doing it and they're paying more, so I mean, it's the fair thing to do, and it has not been done forever, has it, Edward? I mean, we were even supplying toilet paper. No, we don't do that. They make a lot of money off concession. I served on the board for Oil Belt, and they make bukus of money off the concession stand, so they can afford to do this.
But you have a lot of precinct funds. You could put some of your, just kidding, go ahead.
Borrow from yours.
Yeah. Well, apparently Judge thinks I gave you some last
I
year,
know.
so
I
I think
thought
you could
that's
just
what he-
use those. I mean,
Okay, so it sounds like it's a codification and not so much a codification, it's not going in a statute, but it's a memorialization, if you will, of what we're already doing, so. Okay, I've got a motion, a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Pose same sign. Okay, and now we have discuss and consider authorizing entering into negotiations with Ed Rochelle Foundation regarding construction of either pier expansion at Bob Hall Pier or Horace Caldwell Pier. And this is really, Commissioner Chesney, maybe wasn't written perfectly. We may want to reutilize the verbiage. The purpose here is that, as you well know, I'm working with you and you're working with me in this county in trying to find an answer to a very difficult problem. And we think we have I guess a lead, if you will, to be able to go to the Ed Rochelle Foundation and pursue a creative approach. We don't know what that is, Madam County Attorney. It's just we would like to be able to include you and Commissioner Chesney and myself in trying to find a solution to our situation with our U.S. Fish and Wildlife grant. And of course, it's a money solution, and we might have somebody who might have a creative fix for us. And we don't have any preconceived notions of what that is, but we do need to, we've got to be able to have authority to go over there and speak for us as a court. I hate to bring up bad things, but of course you'll recall that the government believes that we owe them $750,000 plus interest on the Michael Mays structure, the structure that's occupied currently by Michael Mays.
or they want us to shut it down.
Or they want us to shut it down, and this gives us door number 3, which could be beneficial to the entire county and much better opportunity. We are working with our federal congressional delegation. The entire South Texas delegation has offered to help us, Gonzalez's office, Vela's office, Cloud's office, and we want to take advantage and go to Washington and renegotiate with the Department of Justice a new agreement, but we can't do that unless we really have some opportunities, and we just would like authority to go and discuss a potential. There's nothing new here.
And I totally disagree with this. I'm sorry, but, and here we're always going to spend more money going to Washington D.C. We're $750,000. By the time we get through, we'll probably spend another $100,000 because of everything we're going to do. and we're gonna add something to the pier on the other side, I guess. The observation deck, they're supposed to be in the other side, because, an error that I guess the commissioner's court made, or somebody made it, and built it, we're not supposed to build it. I don't think the pier, I don't think the restaurant should be there, I don't think the bar should be there, and we've got a third party here, the GLO owns the pier, we just use the pier, if I'm correct. So anything we build out there, it's gotta be approval of the GLO too, we can't just add an extension to the pier without having the third party, especially the owners.
We're not adding to the pier. We're adding this is a potential other building, just so you're clear. It's
What-
not adding to the pier.
But you're still adding something to that pier or
No.
building, whatever it is in the front. You're still adding something, and it's, the waters it's in, there's a clause in there about the waters, and if you start changing the diagram of the waters, the way the pier is built, that's what maybe I'm wrong in this, but, I think that we, all of a sudden, we're moving too fast on this here. I, from one, we shouldn't have to pay the $750,000 to begin with, and I don't know in the long run, now we're going to take another year before we do all this talks with DC and everything else, and we talk about more money. So I think I don't know. We have to make a choice here whether, hey, we deal with it or we don't deal with it, and I think that we should deal with it for the fact that pier, that restaurant shouldn't even be there. That it's not about making money. And I've asked Dale to give me a breakdown on how much money they're making, how much money we get, and we get $12,000 a month. But we don't see that because it goes right back to their budget, to the Coastal Park budget. So, there's a lot of questions here that I, haven't been answered. And I really don't. I don't know why we did something we shouldn't have done, and we just need to correct it, and and if we're in the business of building a bar, then I can build one in Bishop, I guess, at the multipurpose center, and I'll bring in some revenue, I guess, but, I just think we're just trying to deal with this too many ways, and then, other than just facing it head on and do what we have to do.
And I know all your concerns, I really hear all your concerns, and I know you're very, worried about the dollars. For me, the number one thing is just the fiscal, just making certain that the business aspect of the project works. And we cannot afford to pay it back, and I don't think we can afford the litigation that, could happen if we choose to close the restaurant down. I like the opportunity to talk about another door being open for us. I just really learned that you shouldn't bind a county. I don't even like going into negotiations without all of you having an opportunity to authorize me to even talk about another idea. And that's all this is. It's just the opportunity for you to give me, maybe they say, we don't even want to talk to you, right? That's always the possibility. It's just the opportunity to go and talk to them and see what they say.
Judge, but also, the coastal parks here is the one that should be actually in the middle of the whole thing, trying to find why they did what they did. I don't know. But they're the ones should be trying to see how can they manage this? How can they come up with something to take care of this? I mean, it shouldn't be all fall back to us as a commissioner's court, because, we didn't, I don't remember making a deal for the restaurant. I remember making a deal for a bar. If it was never brought to me that I remember one of our meetings saying we are building a bar, we are building a restaurant. It was never brought that way to us in front of the commissioner's court.
And I think we can include coastal parks in the discussion. I am sensitive to the GLO issues, but I believe that the GLO would only be affected if we were in their waters, and we're not going to be, I don't want to be in their waters at all. I want to be disconnected from that completely. But again, we have a problem. It's a federal problem, and we need to find a solution that makes economic sense. I neither want to have a black eye from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife. I want to go back out many, many times more for grants, and nor do I want us to be in litigation.
The black eye is there.
No, we don't, Judge. Judge, if I may, and if you would like Scott can tell you exactly all the stuff he has been doing to work on this issue, Judge Gonzalez, or Commissioner Gonzalez, and we've repeatedly invited you to come and sit and listen and talk to us about what we've been doing out there, and you haven't wanted to do that, and that's fine. That's your prerogative. The rest of the commissioners and Judge Canales have. You just haven't. And Scott can come up and he can tell you all the things. I don't want to put him on the spot, and he can bring a report the next time because I don't want to put him on the spot to show you.
Nobody invited me to go talk about the restaurant.
I absolutely, Judge, Commissioner, I can send you the emails that I sent you saying we would like you to come and talk about all the coastal park issues. No, right. I mean, I'll go back and get those emails. I sent them to you twice. You and I talked about it on the phone, saying we would love to sit down with you to tell you everything we're working on in coastal parks, and everything would mean Michael Mays. It was not a specific request about Michael Mays. It was just, and I'm sorry if you don't remember this, to come and talk about everything related to coastal parks, which Michael Mays is included in that. And Commissioner Matas did that. Commissioner Vaughn did that. Judge Canales did that. And it's the same invitation that would be extended to you again to talk about everything at coastal parks that's going on, which includes that. This is simply an idea that Judge Canales came up with to look at something different, that I appreciate the fact that she's trying to come up with something outside the box to deal with a problem. We still do not have an answer from the federal government as to what our options are with them. We have repeatedly tried to get an answer from the federal government through Senator Cornyn's office, through Senator Cruz's office, through everybody we can think of, through, I think, Congressman Vela has been involved. We have tried everything we can to get an answer of clarity from the federal government, and we're still doing that. We can't get it. So Judge Canales came in and said, hey, look, we got a problem. Let's at least look at other options. And I appreciate other than just the option of let's just shut it down, which is clearly, I get your prerogative to, that's what you've said from the get-go. I don't agree with that position, as has been mine from the get-go, because yes, a mistake was made. Mistakes are made in county government and government all the time, and you do the best you can to remedy the mistakes. This mistake was made before I was a part of the court, but that doesn't mean I don't have responsibility for it. I've jumped into it and tried to take it as the best I can, and I appreciate that she's trying to come up with something that says, hey, let's look at another option that might get us off the hook from having to pay back that $750,000 and might allow us the opportunity to keep a very important community asset in place. You don't have to agree with it, that that's an important community asset. I appreciate that. I think it is a very important community asset. It helps us with our coastal parks. It helps generate revenue. People go to that RV park that makes lots and lots of revenue, and they love going to Michael Mays, and so does the rest of our community. So do the island. The people that I represent do feel like this is important. And so that's where you and I will always disagree on this, and that's fine. I represent an area that feels this is a very important issue, and you don't, and I respect that. And there may be issues in your precinct someday that I don't agree with, and I hope you'll respect, our disagreement on that too. So I appreciate that she's coming up with something that, like I said, this may go nowhere. I don't know. We didn't have good luck with Red Rochelle on the last one. It didn't work out. But this one could be something that possibly provides us the opportunity to keep an important community asset in place that does generate revenue for this county, which I think is also important. And it's taken a facility that was a loser, was costing us money. That whole area was costing us money, and now it is providing positive revenue, and I think that's important. And I'm sorry that if you did, and I know you don't agree with it, but the bottom line is I can show you numbers, and Dale can verify that Bob Hall Pier used to lose the county money because we had to keep up with the maintenance, we had to keep up with the repairs. We no longer have to do that, and there's $12,000 a month coming in. I'm not saying that that's a perfect situation, but it is turned something that was losing money into something that has provided positive revenue. So those are the facts. I'll be happy to go through those.
And I'm going to get us back on track. I really do appreciate the honesty and the discussion. All I really wanted to do with this agenda item is I'm very, very mindful. I love to take the lead on things. I love to be a problem solver. But I also understand, and I'm understanding it better and better, that I have to have authority to go out and have these types of discussions. And the only purpose today that's before you, commissioners, is to give me the authority to go enter into a discussion that they may not have any interest in hearing at all. It's just I would like the opportunity to do it based on my conception that it presents the government with one more chance to give us some some leeway here. And that's all that it is. It's just an opportunity to go and enter into some talks. If it develops into anything, it's going to come right back to you for further public review, public discussion. Nothing's going to happen. I just don't want to go into those offices without all of you knowing that I'm going to do it and having had your previous authorization. And that's really all that it is. Just an opportunity to go have these talks. And then we'll come back with anything if it materializes.
Judge, I don't have a problem with that. I welcome this door number 3 because for a while now, all we thought we had were 2 options. And in my opinion, this is definitely a losing option in that it has morphed into what it is. And sometimes that happens. I think that happens in the business world. It happens in government. It's turned into a success. It is a moneymaker. You cannot deny or dispute that. The issue is with the requirements that the federal government is asking of us, that's what's potentially going to cost us. So I welcome you going into negotiations and seeing if we can find another way, a third option, which, to be honest with you, I don't think was considered or even that we ever thought we had previously. So I thank you for that, looking at this with a new perspective. And so I'm giving you my support on that because I think that you need to be able to go in and to try to figure out the best way forward so that it's no longer a burden. We're following the legal requirements that we were given, and it gives us a way out so that we can move and move forward on this and not have to worry about this issue anymore. So I thank you for figuring this way out, and I hope that the majority of the court supports it because if not, then we are left with only 2 options, and that's going to be the tough part to overcome. So thank you.
I have a comment. I understand your concerns, because I'm like you, I don't want to have to pay $750,000 back. But I do believe this is a valuable asset. And it doesn't really matter whose fault it is, because it's done. I mean, I wasn't here, the judge wasn't here, some of you other weren't either. But we just need to make sure we don't make the mistakes we made legally when that happens again, if it ever comes about. But I appreciate that you want to look out of the box. I mean, I think we need to try and hope that business will stay and at the same time work out, so hopefully we don't have to pay the $750 back. But we don't need a black mark on the county either, and I think you should go, and I will support that.
Thank you. And I just want to just clarify, too, I'm sure we'll have to pay something back to somebody over time, but it will be, in a manner that we can afford. And I'm just worried about the dollars, and then the dollars and the contingency liabilities that the county has, and that's all. And again, it may prove nothing, but I need to be able to know that I can go in there and say the county is interested, and that way we're taken as a serious conversation. So lots of discussion, and thank you for all of it. Can I get a motion with regards to number 6?
So moved.
Second.
And all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, and those opposed, same sign. Okay, and the next event is discuss and considering approving the communications site license agreement with Modus for placing environmental sensing capability sensors at Padre Bayou Park. And this also is the same type of licensing for IB McGee. Oh my gosh, you're right there. Hello. Okay, talk to us about this license agreement at IB and Padre Bayou. Looks like it's the same company, same agreement, 2 different locations.
Yeah, they want to put a little antenna thing up on the building that communicates like a closed cellular communication system. These folks are representing the DOD, Department of Defense.
Okay.
They're putting this up all along the Gulf Coast, the East Coast, the West Coast. It's for military communication, so I really, don't know if we should be worried about anything or not in the future, but they're going up.
Right, and why do they say environmental sensing? I'm curious.
I'm really not sure. Belinda helped me with the license agreement,
Belinda, I'm just curious.
And IT also vetted this as well.
Okay, and we don't get to keep any of the information, right? It's just we allow them to use our property, and then they get to keep the information.
And they pay us $1,200 a year per site.
Okay. Just wondering if you...
Just to clarify, I'm not sure about the wording of what
Yeah.
it is, but what it is it's a radio bandwidth that the commercial sector gets to use along with the military.
Good.
And what this sensing capability does is it basically, if there's going to be a military operation or they need the bandwidth, it will shut automatically the commercial down.
I
So
see.
they share it, and this would allow the military to use it when they need to use it.
Oh, no, I'm all in favor of that. Okay, I just wondered if we got, it sounds like we do have a tremendous benefit then.
Do you know how many sites you have?
Just two.
Yeah, one at Bob Hall and one at Horace Caldwell.
That's great. We'll have to add that. I'm sorry they left. We'll add that to our South Texas Military Task Force because they like to know how our communities are a part of helping the Department of Defense. So that's kind of exciting. Do I have any questions? I'm sorry, let me get a motion first. Is there a motion for the approval of both agreements, both IB McGee and Padre Bailly? Okay, I got a motion, a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. I'm sorry, I didn't give you a chance, but no further discussion, right? Okay, great. Thank you, Scott. Number 8 is discuss and consider the various areas within Nueces County I'm sorry, did I read that wrong? Discuss and consider including various areas within Nueces County into the Nueces County drainage plans, grants, and other drainage interest-related matters. Juan, you're going to take the lead on this one.
Well, actually,
I'm sorry, Edward.
Judge, I'm
I
sorry.
saw one. Okay, sorry.
It's one of those joint projects.
We're happy to have you here.
Commissioner put it on the agenda, and it's one of those things that I've been here so long that I've worked on pretty much a lot of things, and then Juan is instrumental now. A lot easier to work with, a lot easier to get information from. Essentially, what we're looking at, or what the commissioner wants to do, is include areas. If you look in the upper right-hand corner, that little map of Nueces County, that dark green area is the area that is covered by the study that we originally paid for and did. So there's a lot of areas that are not there that need to be addressed.
Yes, that's correct.
And so with that,
The only areas there were, I'm sorry, the only areas that were part of this was on, you see the Exhibit 1, it's the upper Oso area. And then on the second sheet, which is Exhibit number 2, is the Chapman Ranch area. So there's other tributaries and drainage areas that aren't considered as part of this.
And why did we not put it in there? I mean, do you know?
No, Commissioner, I'm not real sure why.
Yeah.
It was one of those cost things. At that time, the OSO was the biggest problem. It's going through the center of the community, so it was one of the concerns that we had. The study cost over $800,000, and we did it. Actually, JJ from ICE here was also in on that study and did some work there as well.
Is that something the city didn't want to pay for or something? I think there was an issue with the city and the county.
Yeah, yes, Commissioner, back in the day.
I'm going to ask Maria also to come forward and give us an update. We have a current grant pending with the city of Corpus Christi.
Yes, so, we entered into a memorandum of understanding with the city of Corpus Christi that we would work together on drainage issues. There was an application submitted to the Texas Division of Emergency Management back in December, and it was for $1.1 million for a countywide drainage study, as well as an update to our hazard mitigation action plan. So that was going to be, and the intent of that was to kind of work with the city, and then if we are awarded the grant, we'd love to work with the drainage districts and all the smaller communities throughout Nueces County to get a comprehensive, complete plan.
When will we hear, Maria?
It's still pending. I can ask for an update. I know the likelihood of funding is very favorable, but I do not have a status report at this time for that. But I can definitely make some.
Commissioner Vaughn and I would like to get a status report, but we should be getting close to I think June is usually a 6-month period there. In addition, the county has supported, the National Science Foundation is also awarding a grant. Texas A&M Kingsville, Texas A&M Corpus Christi are jointly working towards, it's even bigger than this, which is even better, because this idea that water stops at your county lines is not accurate either. So they're working a little bit even larger. So we have 2 bites at this apple in the next 3-4 months. And we're hoping one of those will pan out, and we'll be able to do everything that you see inside red. And actually, my wish is a larger halo around there.
Does this affect anything if you wanted to get a grant for any of these that aren't listed in the drainage? Would that affect any of that?
No, not at all.
Okay, just want to make sure because, what brought it to my attention is North Beach, and there's a lot of things going on over there, and I just can't believe it wasn't put on there. So I'm hoping we get that money.
The other thing, Commissioner, this is all in our emergency management plan as well, so that's included all the tributaries and all the different deals. If our emergency manager was here, we'd be able to do a little bit more on the conversation. Commissioner Matis has been working with, along the same lines, as part of the same deal, with the Banquetti ISD to get some generators and some stuff for them as well. So we are considering that area, but as you said, North Beach is pretty much, Juan, is a project with Juan and I did in the private sector, when Juan was with the private sector, on kind of like a drainage through, or?
That's a good, talk about that.
A few years ago, it was a project that we had, kind of like an exhibit that we had put together. It was there in front of the Bayfront area. What we had done is kind of created like a little area where you have like a canoe area. People with the canoes can come in, and then they can easily access the bay, and then creating like a little bridge area, kind of like a crossover. I mean, I probably can get the drawing, and then you just kind of go underneath the bridge area, and then you can go out into the bay area. But it's like a drainage structure.
Well, and
It's actually a very nice drainage structure, kind of like the one Commissioner Matis has over there behind the fairgrounds, where
Yeah, we love, yeah.
it's beautiful, but it's a drainage.
It's a drainage structure.
But I bring this up because I'm thinking about economic development. That's going to be a big issue up here. We have over 800,000 visitors over there at North Beach for the Lexington and the aquarium. So developers are not going to want to come into an area that floods, and they have ignored that for decades. So I'm hoping this is going to be a focus.
We will,
Yes.
we will continue with it.
But that's going to be the city's, probably. 90%.
Well, actually, city and county through our, Maria, through the memorandum of understanding, it's a city-county collaborative, right? The money will go to both of us.
But the county applied for the grant, correct? You did do that, right?
So the county will be the lead agent if we
No,
do
but
get the
we talk about
grant.
the drainage, it's okay, but when you talk about flooding, it's going to be the city really.
Well, I know that, but the county can participate somewhere, hopefully.
Oh, yes.
Maria, forgive me, I don't remember, were you in our meeting with the GLO? I don't know if you were there when he talked about resiliency, the new bucket of money for resiliency.
No.
I don't think you were there. This was a week ago, so I believe, Commissioner Vaughn, we're going to have another bucket of money to concentrate on countywide drainage, and that is, it's just a new bucket of money that's being appropriated, $5 billion for resiliency efforts for counties, and we think that drainage is going to be just a perfect fit for that resiliency effort. So when it comes to North Beach, I think we can mark, we're a little early, like we're waiting for the information, but we're going to be first in line for those dollars, but we can earmark for resiliency.
Yes, so there's going to be actually a couple of meetings that are going to be coming up soon with the General Land Office because
Right.
there is, again, other funding that's going to be made available to the county pretty quickly. Well, I wouldn't say pretty quickly,
Right.
but within the next year. And of course, the application process will take a while, but we're looking at some more money coming into the county for drainage projects and infrastructure needs.
And then what's nice is we can be forward-thinking, so all these drainage projects can also be beautification projects, right? So it doesn't cost any more to make them look beautiful, and so whether it's North Beach or whether it's, behind Keach Library, we know that what they are, but they look to the average, citizen just like a beautiful pond or a beautiful canal, or that's really, so I think that we're going to be able to combine both on North Beach, which is exciting. And JJ, not to put you on the spot, but you also have some modeling and some plans that I know when we get to that point, we're going to need to share those with this. Let's see if this grant comes forward, but don't you guys have some modeling that has never really been presented to this court, and we would probably like to see that at some point if you'd share.
Good to be here. Good to
Yeah.
see you, the judge's chair. I think it's my first time out here.
It's okay.
Yes, definitely. We have plenty of information from all the work we've done through the drainage district. And all the work we've done in the past. That said, I was part of the initial master plan that was done for the county.
Right.
During my previous employment before I started ICE.
Right.
But,
Well, you have
but we
great
do have a lot of-
knowledge. It would just be helpful to have somebody who's on our side, working with Nueces County that understood this plan as well, so.
And there's a lot of data that's already out there. Just yesterday, meeting with the Drainage District, well, last week, talking to Sarah, she was asking about if we had any data on the current bridges that the county has, especially within the Drainage District. So, yeah, I have the database of all those bridges and the conditions and pictures from looking north, looking south, looking west, looking east. And we had actually, back several years back, we developed a program to where you open a spreadsheet, you go to County Road X, you click on a link, and it shows you a picture and gives you text up bridge ID. So a lot of information from different entities in one. So,
Right.
yeah, definitely, I guess.
Commissioner, are you looking for an action item on this?
No, I think we're waiting for a report.
Well, I
but
think
just
we're
wanted
going to wait for status on these grants. So at this point, it was information only. Yes, Edward?
I can add just one more thing. I know Juan wouldn't toot his own horn, but I'm going to toot it for him.
Go ahead.
He's moved ahead in our public works sector. He's developed some new equipment, some new modeling software, so
Good.
he's going to be tracking GPS all our flow lines and stuff through our ditches, so eventually we'll have a model throughout the whole county. I'll let him.
So we're going to find where we need the liquid plumber.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
Got it.
Pretty much what we've based, our survey equipment's pretty much outdated. What we're doing right now is we're updating our survey equipment.
Okay.
So we can actually just go GPS, all our drainage ditches, do cross-sections. Whenever we do a project, we do our own survey, so we can have our own data, put that in our files. We have the data for it forever, because it's going to be in electronic format.
Got it.
So I just kind of wanted to.
No, that's good news. Okay, so we'll wait for a new status report. Okay, in that case, we'll move to the last numbered item under our regular agenda, and that's to receive a presentation from legislative consultants regarding our progress on legislative agenda. And they are not here with us in person today because they are attending hearings for us in Austin. I have a written document that I'm not sure if everybody got this 2-pager, but if not, I'll ask someone to please make copies. But if you don't mind, I'll read the paragraph from our legislative team to all of us on the record. The bullet points are such that 61 days remain in the 86th regular session, and our bills should all be having hearings within the next 10 days. Lobby team has briefed our delegation on all of our priorities and engaging in legislative chairman, leadership, and regulatory entities. The lobby team is in addition preparing amendments for other bills to amend to help advance our priorities as opportunities arise. Nueces County has lent support to the governor's emergency disaster recovery legislation and registered the county's opposition to the introduced version of HB 2. You'll recall those are revenue caps at 2.5%. The House will be debating their version of the new state budget, HB 1, all day Wednesday, which, by the way, is why they're not here. The budget's being debated right now. And we have a lot of riders in our community that are on that appropriation bill. They will also be considering SB 500, the supplemental appropriations bill, which has the funding additional Medicaid cost, Hurricane Harvey relief for disaster relief relating to the Texas Department of Emergency Management, GLO, and TEA. In addition, the Senate will receive the House budget and consider their own budget in early April with the conference committee appointed by mid-April, which is Easter, to work out the differences. As county commissioners make plans to visit the legislature, engage with our lobby team prior to your visit, and they will ensure your time is strategically used for key legislative visits. In addition, there is a complete, a summary of all of the bills that affect Nueces County, what the status is, who the sponsor is, both in the House and the Senate, and whether that we have a resolution that corresponds to that. In addition, if there's a rider, which there is for coastal bend bays and estuaries that we're supporting, it indicates whether we support that rider and where that rider is. In this case, it's currently in Article 11, which is in the House budget wish list, and on the Senate side, it'll go to the work group, which Senator Hinojosa will be part of that work group. And I'm here to answer any questions on their behalf because I was with them all day Monday. And of course, they wanted me to stress to you, please give them an individual call They would love to see each and every one of you in Austin promoting our county's legislative agenda. They will create amazing meetings for you that are strategic so that you can visit not only with our delegation, but also with chairmen with which these committee with chairman of committees where these bills reside. So if you do have any specific questions, I think I had a 3-hour meeting in addition to a 12-hour day afterwards. I went over each and every one of them, all of which we've approved in our legislative agenda. I think I can answer any question. But again, they are completely available to each and every one of you. Ms. Shipton's been working on our boundary bills almost exclusively. Mr. Romo's been working on LPPF. I was advised right before Commissioner's Court started that we might have an LPPF hearing maybe next week. Maybe, so we don't know yet. So the point is that once the hearings are set, I will go on behalf of the court to testify. You're also welcome to come and testify as well. The last thing is we'd like to have, and they would like to encourage, a Nueces County Day there at the Capitol. We've tried to work with several days. We're having trouble getting a good day that all of us can attend, but we may have to have two options, and some of us go up on day one and some of us go up on day two. But I think a Nueces County Day is a good precedent to start. And by the way, that's just not us. It would be, our county clerks up there every week fighting for county clerks. I mean, there's big issues in county clerks, but we would like to invite our electeds. We might have an abandoned courthouse, but we want Kevin Kieschnick, our tax assessor, has bills that he wants support on. We need to give him that support. So when I say County Day, it's not just about us. It's about Ms. Sands. It's about Mr. Kieschnick and the other county officials that have, the appraisal district has some really important issues that they're facing. So we need to, Nueces County Day is a great idea, and it means all of us. So, and there are two dates, but one of them I think was I need to look again, but after this meeting, you're going to get some dates. And the idea is it's hard to get us all together, so we may have to separate.
Can we get a copy of that?
Absolutely. Can somebody, Maggie, could I impose 2 pages for everybody?
Judge, can I make a comment?
Absolutely.
Carolyn, were you wanting to say something first?
No.
Oh, I thought you were. I'm sorry. Okay, good. Judge, first of all, I want to thank you for your diligence in representing the court. I know you've been up there a lot, and quite frankly, it's not one of my favorite places, but it's certainly a necessary evil to make sure that we are represented. So I appreciate all the time you've spent up there. I do want to encourage. I spent a day and a half up there. The 19th, I think, and 20th of March, and it was very, very productive. I met with every member of our delegation. I would encourage strongly for each commissioner to make at least a trip up between now and the end of the session. I plan to make one more, and believe me, that's a lot for me to do because I just don't like going, but it's really important to do it. I met with every member of the delegation. I would also encourage everybody that when you go to please go by, even if you can't meet with them, and say hello, drop a card off, let them know you've been there. It makes a difference to them. They want to know that we're all there. Every member of our delegation wants to hear from us. And if one of them sees that you're there and you didn't come by their office, they don't like that, and I get it. So I went by and visited with every one of them, and it was really very, very productive. And we've got a lot of stuff going on this session, and it's really important, that we are diligent, especially in some of the things that have been filed against us, which is a little unusual for us to be in that position, and it's a little disheartening, but it is what it is, and so we have to get up there and do it. I would encourage all elected officials in Nueces County that if you've got something that you need us to help you with, that you need our lobby team to help you with, to please contact the judge, because she is the point of contact there, and whether we need to put it officially on our legislative agenda or not, I don't know, but if the county clerks are working on stuff or the tax assessors or collectors are working on stuff, then there's certainly the judges, the Board of Judges. I mean, we ought to be able to weigh in on those bills and help them where we can, because anything that helps the county clerk or the tax assessor helps us too. And so that's a given. So I would really strongly encourage every county elected official to touch base with the judge's office. I don't mean to bombard you with calls. Call Maggie, don't call the judge. No, I'm kidding. But and do that. But it really, really is important. And the one thing that I would consider or continue to ask of the judge and all of us on our lobby team. We hired that lobby team for a reason. I get that sometimes you want to compartmentalize and someone needs to take the lead on one thing, but in my opinion, when I used to do this for a living, it was really important that every member of the team knew enough about everything that they were working on, so that if Patricia's out one day, that Joel can pick up the slack, or if Joel knows someone better than Hugo does, then they can go make their contacts, and I'm sure that's what you're doing.
Oh, my goodness, yes. I should have emphasized that. One of the best things that happened to us is that we disagreed. And so in the disagreement, we got this amazing team, and we didn't know that we were going to have such a huge legislative agenda, because half of the bills that we're opposing, right? So our legislative agenda grew because of threats, to this county. So we have an amazing team, and they all work and cover for each other together. Almost every one of my meetings, there was at least 2 out of the 3 in all of the meetings. So they might have a leader on one particular issue, but all of them are knowledgeable about all of our issues. And again, I'm going to highly encourage that that we stand strong in protecting our county, and let's go up there as many times as we can. How many days did Joel say? I can't remember. 60 days left. Everything starts rolling right about now. Once everything gets to hearing, it's going to go really fast, and we have to really be very vigilant. So, and flexible. You've got to be ready to go when we say you don't get a lot of notice. You might get a request for a hearing on a Monday, and the hearing might be set for Wednesday. So we also
that
have
happened to Kevin when we were up there. He had a
Is that right?
They were trying to get a hold of him from, I think, Representative Barrero's office when I was in there, and we were able to, or no, it was Senator Colcourt's office, and then he was in, anyway, it happened to him when we were up there. He got real short notice on a bill that he listed, and they're in warp speed right now. They don't do squat until the middle of March. This is how it works, right? And then from the middle of March on, it's warp speed, and it's Katie bar the doors, and you got to watch amendments and committee substitutes, and I hate to say it is truly like watching sausage being made, and it is the most sometimes non-transparent form of government I've ever seen in my life, and I mean that with great respect to all my fellow friends that are legislators, but it's just the process, and if we're not diligent and we're not on this stuff on a regular basis, then we're going to miss out on some very, very important things that are going to affect us. So, again, Judge, I appreciate that you've been up there. Please let us know about the Nueces County Day. I do plan on being up there. I'm glad to hear that they're all cross-trained.
For the record too, Judge, I've been there a couple of times.
No, they know. You're right.
I talked to all of them, and in fact, I talked to Senator's office about twice a week, and April Herrera's office twice a week, and on some of the bills that are up there, and where we had urban and counties. I met with urban and counties, and so I think that it's good that they know that we really care, they're really pushing for those things.
And I didn't mean any oversight, Commissioner, because I know Commissioner Modas has been up there too, and I don't know if Commissioner Vaughn's been there yet or not. You can use some of those fun, no, I'm kidding.
But we're going to get the Nueces County Day.
But Judge, you make a really good point on that lobby team, and my hope is going forward that because there's actually a bill, it's an interesting bill, I think it's by Betancourt, that's filed that talks about having to disclose more about how public entities use lobby dollars, because he's mad because I think it was his bill because people are up there lobbying against these tax caps and they're using taxpayer dollars to lobby against tax caps. So he's filed this bill. I think it's him. I don't want to misquote, but we've been very transparent about how we're spending the dollars, and we've had a very public discussion on it. And I will always be from the position that you have to protect yourself, and we are getting maligned up there by other counties, by legislation that can affect us as counties, and it's just, if we don't have a team in place, in my opinion, I will always believe that if you don't have a lobby team in place, that you're gonna get caught in something like we did. Yeah, so I think we have put together a good team, and hopefully they can work with us for the future, because I think they're a good cross-reference of what we need up there. Thank you, Judge.
Okay, thanks. And Kieschnick's bills are going to come to you next agenda, okay? Because we couldn't get them in time, but you're going to get some that are important to our tax assessors, and we'll deal with those next time. At this time, we're going to move to grants, and we have one from Maria to consider the submission of a particular grant from the National Park Service.
So good morning. We recently were told that the National Park Service has awarded some monies to Texas under their, it's Hurricanes Harvey, Irma, and Maria Emergency Supplemental Historic Preservation Fund. So there were a couple of conversations going on about updated feasibility study from the Texas Historical Commission on the old courthouse. So this would be a planning grant at no match. We can apply for up to $250,000. And in some discussions with interested parties, I think we're looking at a structural, like engineering assessment updated, a hotel feasibility study that would also review kind of the RFP process that we went through to try to make it a little bit more appealing, as well as a stabilization plan. So I do want to recognize, I have Alyssa Barrera Mason from the Downtown Management District here, and she's been a wealth of information. I don't pretend to know a lot about the old courthouse. We were just kind of brought into these conversations, so she's been a wealth of information, as well as Sharon Fleming with the THC. So I just kind of wanted to recognize her and her assistance in kind of putting this application together. It is very, very draft at this point, but we will be working on it. It is due on Monday, so I plan to have the final application ready by Friday for your signature, Judge, and with the Commissioner's Court approval, of course, of moving forward.
Want a motion on this, or?
Yes.
Do they know when you'll get the grant, if you get it? Do you have a date?
I believe if we submit by the April 1st deadline, they're looking at awarding, I believe, by April 16th, something about that date sticks in my mind, because I know they have a quarterly commission meeting that's happening in April, so they're looking at a
It's a
pretty quick.
super fast turnaround on this one.
Yes.
Yeah, and again, just in the interest, clarification, the feasibility study is different. It's over here to the left, and then this one is more, it's structural, it's, I'm so sorry, I forgot already. It's structural, and it's,
Hotel feasibility.
Right.
To review the RFP process. Also
right, that's what it is.
the stabilization plan.
Right, but it's the RFP process, which is so intriguing there. Anyway, this is being brought to you as part of the two items that the Historical Commission offered up. So because of the fast turnaround, we see it as nothing but a win-win. You apply in April and you get told in April. So that's just an unusual situation.
Yeah, it's very unique.
Yeah. Okay, I've got a motion. Do I have a second on that? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay, thank you, Maria. Juan, take us through Public Works at this time. The first is an extension between Nueces County and Strettle.
Sturdy Collins?
Stridey, I'm sorry. How do you pronounce it?
Sturdy Collins.
Stridey, got it.
Collins and Associates.
For the chiller replacement project.
Yes, ma'am. We're recommending an extension of the one-year warranty between the county, Nueces County and Sturdy Collins for the courthouse jail chiller replacement project. Public Works is recommending another year. Their contract ends this July 2019, and we want to extend it to July 2020.
And I'm flipping because I don't have it memorized on the dollars, so give me just one second. You have it?
The contract stays the same.
Stays the same.
Yes, ma'am. The contract amount stays the same. We're just extending the date.
Okay. Do I have a motion or any, yeah, it's the maximum though for the contract is 98.6. That's what
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, do I have a motion on this extension of contract? So, motion is second. Any further discussion with regards to the contract? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Pose same sign.
The next one is for change order number 3 for the Nueces County Airport Apron Expansion Project.
Right.
This is adding additional pavement in the area. It's on the west side of the building. There are some erosion that's happening when we get some heavy rains. We're getting some erosion. What we're doing is we're just creating a hard surface, so that way it'll stabilize that area. It can also serve for two purposes, for erosion and also for some parking area for the staff.
Do they have a drainage problem out there?
As of right now, no. That I understand, no. Commissioner,
yeah,
this is just the water that's coming from the building.
I know.
It's just draining.
I'm just saying, when it rains.
Recognizing John Cox. Come on in, John. You have anything else maybe to add here? Okay. Okay, I think this is obviously a necessity to get this complete.
Yes, ma'am.
Juan, do you agree? Is that your recommendation?
That's Public Works recommendation, Judge.
Okay.
So moved.
I've got a motion, and John Modis, this is in your district. This is the change order for the airport apron expansion project. And just want to make sure you don't have any questions for John or for Juan on this before we move along. Did I get a second, actually? I did, okay. And all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And forgive me, but I got to go back, because now I caught up to my little question here, back on Strittle.
Freddie Collins?
Freddie Collins.
Yes, ma'am.
The question that I had, based on the background information, was that the reason for the delay was in getting the technical information back from the vendors. Have we cured that yet?
No, we have not. We're just
Okay.
trying, at this time, we're just kind of going through the initial process of the design process.
Uh-huh.
So it's in that process.
Okay, is there something we can do to kind of help get that information?
We're pretty much have it, the design's pretty much there, Judge.
Okay.
It's just a matter of us having a meeting together and kind of going.
That would be great. I want to get updated, up to speed on that, because that's going to affect our capital improvement.
We're setting up a meeting with Freddie Collins next week.
I appreciate that. Okay, that was just my little question mark. I got caught behind there.
Yes, ma'am.
The last one is the presentation from L&V and Craig Forsyth.
Yeah,
to
Craig
just-
Edward's going to take this one.
Okay, thank you, Edward. This is regarding the status of a completion of project and the certificate of substantial completion.
Correct, Judge. We are actually 1 year into this project. Commissioner and Vaughn and I and Director of Architecture for L&V, Craig Forsyth, did a walkthrough.
Craig.
I'm going to let him
It's on
explain
the hilltop.
where
Yeah.
we're at and what we're doing with that.
Absolutely. Craig, give us a quick background and then take us to where you want us
Judge
to
and
go.
Commissioners, on the Hilltop project, quick little background. Of course, this is one of the ones that was part of the Department of Justice. We're trying to do
Correct.
some
The
upgrades.
ADA.
Exactly, trying to make sure that we're getting everything back up into compliance. So we had Progressive Structures is the general contractor. We have been representing you as your construction administrator, basically, for this project. And Progressive Structures has notified us that they were ready for a punch list, a walkthrough, so that we could see if there was any deficiencies. We did that in April, and for the most part, everything was fairly minor. So this is really good. We've come full circle now, and we're ready to start the closeout procedures for this particular project. So we have written up a certificate of substantial completion, and that is what is before you today. And that kind of starts this closeout process. So
That's great.
we're at.
Commissioner Vaughn's, your project, you have some,
First off, I'd like to thank you guys, because y'all, that was one of the greatest moves the court made, was getting y'all to represent us, and Edward as well. He's always on top of it. The things that we went over, was it yesterday or day before? Yeah. By doing this, I mean, are they going to get those things done? The table,
Yes, ma'am. They've got a full list
Okay.
of
Punch
deficient
list.
items that they're working
Yeah.
on. Now, as part of that, and you will see that as listed in this certificate of substantial completion, we gave them 45 days to complete all of those items. So they should be finally complete
Okay.
by April the 8th. And some of these other items that we've recently noticed will also be placed on that list.
and Craig, through Edward and my office, because ADA is such an important part of what this county is really about, I'd like to see a completed project. I haven't seen one yet in my tenure of 75 days, and maybe I could go with Commissioner Vaughn. I don't want you to worry. I want to do a walkthrough, because I actually want you to show me how we went from, A to Z on an ADA project. I think I can learn a lot, and I think it'd be very helpful for me to see and brag about a successful project.
We'd be
So,
glad to do that.
I'd be appreciative if you would work with Edward and Commissioner Vaughn and I, and having that little walkthrough.
Along those lines, Judge.
Yes.
Commissioner Vaughn wants to meet Carol Pruitt for the first time. He's our ADA specialist.
Yeah.
Are you taking your pitchfork? Are you taking your pitchfork?
Hey,
You like him?
we may be able to charm this guy. Who
Yeah,
knows?
whatever. Good luck.
Don't sell us short, Brent.
I'd never sell you short.
All for that.
Prior to doing the walkthrough, we need to have a discussion. I was talking to Maggie, when probably Monday I'll discuss.
You'll reach out.
Well, we have some issues with, as Commissioner Jag and Commissioner Modis have seen, with the ADA. And
Well, and that's another thing that, I didn't want to get too much in the weeds. We were long enough, but when we go to Washington, it's not going to be on a one-shot, a one-trick pony. We're going to be working with all the federal issues, and ADA is probably the most significant, all-encompassing one. So yes, please get us up to speed. Let us discuss the problems that we're having, because any problem we're having can be addressed at the federal level. And that's the thing. You're not, it's a great thing about America. You can go and complain. So, okay, so you're good. Do we need an action item on this? So can I have a motion to accept is that what it is, accepting the certificate of substantial completion, Ms. Jimenez?
So moved.
Okay, I've got a motion, and do I have a second? Yes, all those in favor signify by, who did that? Okay, I've got Gonzalez. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Post same sign. Thank you for your work. In the purchasing department, Michael, we have something I'm really totally a believer in. Like this is such a great thing. Can you talk about I'm sorry, I call it MST. I don't know what you call it.
Same thing.
MST and finding the right method of procurement and authorizing you to publish the notice and getting a selection committee going.
Okay. Before I get started on this subject, I just wanted to take a little second to recognize the fact that we've been without our county purchasing agent since around November, and Elsa's still dealing with her issues. And we just wanted to take this opportunity to tell her that we are still thinking about her every day, praying for her to get well.
Yes.
And we miss her. And so, but we are still getting her on policy decisions when we need that advice or on a topic where I'm not familiar. She's been very helpful to me personally. And I also like to recognize the staff in the office. Everyone has had to pick up a little bit of slack around because Mike's trying to cover 2 desks, and it's a little bit hard at times to do all that I used to do for everyone else in the office. And so I'd just like to recognize them at this moment, too.
I so agree. And you forgot to say, and a new county judge driving you crazy.
Oh,
But I'm really glad that you recognize the people that make it work. Everything we do, everything we buy comes through purchasing. We almost don't move around here without it.
Leaned really hard on Laura.
Yeah, well, Laura's done a great job, too. Well, I'm very pleased that you recognized it. I hope Elsa's listening, or today, or maybe in the future. We want to say hello, and we do miss you.
And you guys have done a good job. And
Yeah.
you would be proud to know that.
Exactly.
We're just
So
trying to
take
do
it-
justice. Okay.
So take us through the work.
Particular item, this is something that the Juvenile Board authorizes the county purchasing agent to conduct competitive purchasing procedures for them. And there were 2 orders attached, 2019-0104, which is a general authorization for the chief probation officer, who is Homer Flores, to work with purchasing agent to conduct competitive purchasing procedures in general. But then the additional order, 2019-0105, specifically grants this permission to the purchasing agent to request proposals for the MST services. And in here, this is a project where it's a purchase of an MST team and aftercare transition services for non-residential contract services for youth involved or at risk of becoming involved in the juvenile justice system. The term of the contract that we're requesting to go out for proposals on will be a 3-year period with the option to extend for 2 additional 1-year terms. The term that we're currently on is going to expire on August 31st, 2019 with Liberty Resources Incorporated. And at this point, we're just asking for permission to follow the Juvenile Board order and go out for proposals.
And I'll go ahead and, I have a question, but I'll go ahead and take a motion to approve.
So moved.
And a second. And discussion. Okay, I would like, maybe we can talk about this with Homer, but in this case, I mean, I don't know why we would do RFP. This should be an RFQ. No, I mean, this is classic RFQ. I mean, you don't want the cheapest. You want the best. MST is all about getting therapy in the home, being able to address the family situation and juvenile, I maybe haven't seen your rubric here.
Yeah, I believe that what happens for this one, the request for proposal under 2620295
Yeah.
is what they're specifically granting us to do. And under that process, it's a proposal. So we get to have a scoring rubric on how we're going to rate the people that are proposing to do
Right.
this service. So we get a better opportunity actually to selectively pick the
Right.
vendor that's going to provide the best service
Good.
to the
And
county.
And again, I mean, unless you have somebody who's behavioral health helping you draft that RFP, which you should have, and this is where we're a little weak, right? Because we're asked to do a lot of creative RFPs without any type of expertise. You cannot, you're only as good as what you can write with what you know behind it. And I want to kind of, again, take this opportunity to learn about this process. This is a program that's working. It's data-driven, results-driven, but it's not, we don't have enough. We have, I think, 160 families who are on the waiting list to be a part of MST. So I really want to, I want to see this kind of evolve, Michael. But yes, I mean, I'm glad you said that, because this is not a cheapest thing. This is the right company to go into people's homes and touch people's lives and hopefully turn a situation that resulted in their child being detained into something better, where it doesn't fall, where they go back into the system or other siblings don't go back into the system. It attacks the whole family unit.
Right, and under this process, the chief probation officer is a member of the evaluation committee, so we'll be able to get Homer's feedback on how the program's currently working and be able to better assess those that do propose.
Right. I want us to be more creative with our procurements. I mean, the whole world doesn't revolve around RFPs can mean different, there's many ways to get the best team in here, and it's, again, how you draft it and how you evaluate it. But I'm anxious to see that rubric. Okay, enough of my opinion there. We've got a motion, a second. Those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Okay, thank you, Michael. And then the auditor is the approved budget change order. There's a number 27 for this last year.
Yes.
Will you walk us through that one?
This is our final budget change order for last fiscal year. As we come through our reports and meeting with our auditors, we find adjustments that are needed, and that's what we found for Constable Precinct 1. So we made the adjustment for that, and that we required a budget change order to make sure that there was no abnormal balances in budget for this particular department. Now, the one for Coastal Park seems large, but this is a requirement for when we have a capital lease. Capital lease requires that we record the net present value of the asset. And how we do that is we create an expense and a revenue and an asset and a liability. It's confusing, but that's how we have to do this. This is an expense, however, we have an offsetting revenue, so there is no effect on the fund balance for Fund 18.
So this is just a GASB rule?
Yes, GAAP rules, yes.
A GAAP rule,
Yes.
okay.
So all we need to do is make sure we have the money to cover the budget. There's funds available in there, so there is a zero effect on the fund balance.
Okay.
So moved.
I've got a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
And need further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Pose same sign. Okay, at this time, we are going to elect to go into executive session. I'm giving public notice that we are doing such, authorized by the provisions of the Open Meetings Act, Chapter 551, the Texas Government Code. In this event, under this code, in accordance with the authority of Sections 551071 through 076, and then 551086 and 087, the Commissioners Court will hold this executive session to consult with our attorneys, including matters related to litigation, real property, prospective gifts, personnel, county advisory boards, security devices, economic development negotiations, and other matters that may be discussed. Upon completion, we'll come back. Commissioners Court will be in open session, and we'll take any actions that are appropriate at the time that were discussed in executive session. And at that, I'm going to gavel out at 11:58 a.m., a world's record now for this court. Mics are off. So I'm turning mics back on at 1:01 p.m., and mics are on. And gaveling us back in, and we have two action items from executive session. And Commissioner Chesney, could you make a motion on the very first one, which is to approve a settlement?
For B and C.
Yes, together, B and C, to approve a settlement in the amount of $6,000, go ahead.
$6,088.18.
18 cents.
So moved.
And hearing a motion to approve that settlement, and do I have a second? And all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Okay. And
F
F is next. Yes, that's the,
We're asking that the county judge send required notice to correct solution pursuant to the contract with regards to this lawsuit and indemnification and defense.
and at this time, do I have a motion for that authorization and a second?
Second?
A second, and so all those in favor of getting that notice for indemnification to Correct Care Solutions signify by saying aye. Aye. Pose same sign. And that concludes our agenda, and now I'd like to have a motion to, for adjournment. Oh, I'm sorry, in memory of, let's do then adjournment in memory of Commissioner Chesney, you first.
Thank you, Judge. I have one, Olivia Casey Adair, who passed away suddenly. She was only 17 years old and was very active in the Northwest community at Cal Allen High School, and wanted to offer condolences to her family. That's all I have, Judge.
Thank you, Commissioner Gonzalez.
Whatever you wanted.
Commissioner Modis.
I have one, Judge. Some of you may know Buck Sosa. He was the former president of the Corpus Christi Firefighters Association, Local 936. He passed away on March the 18th after a long battle, and he was preceded by his parents in death. His family survived by his wife, Angel, always by his side everywhere he would go. I never worked with Buck when I was on city council. He was already retired by then, but he was the active president of the Retired Firefighters Association, and he would always participate in council meetings and just everywhere I went. And so my thoughts and prayers and condolences with Buck and his wife Angel and their family on the loss, and of course all professional firefighters who knew him and who Buck represented throughout the years of service to the city of Corpus Christi.
Thank you, Commissioner Vaughn.
I just want to say one thing about
Yes.
Sandra Santos, my administrative assistant, and lost her sister-in-law last week, but I will bring it back up again till next meeting, when we get all the information correct and everything. So just the condolences go out to the Santos family.
Thank you, and I just would like to, on behalf of Commissioners Court, extend our deepest sympathies and condolences for our friend Judge Krebs from San Patricio County on the loss of his daughter-in-law, who was so very young and who died from complications due to her cancer diagnosis, and she left behind a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old. At the age of 28, we need to do more in our country to eradicate this terrible disease, and I just express my heartfelt sympathies to Judge Krebs and his entire family. And with that, no more adjournments. I'm sorry.
I forgot one. I apologize.
Absolutely.
Larry Elizondo's sister-in-law, Yolanda Gutierrez Ruiz, passed away. It was his wife's sister, so condolences to their family as well.
Absolutely. We echo those sentiments to Larry. Having no further more memoriams, do you have a motion for me for an adjournment?
So moved.
And a second. Okay, we are adjourned officially at 1:05 p.m. Thank you so much.